Hey everyone, this is Carrie Stevens, and I am here to conquer the Shout It Out Loudcast. That's right, Tom and Zeus are in big trouble. Bend over, boys. Carrie's taking over.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Shout It Out Loudcast. Don't turn your radio dial. You're in the right place because the album review crew is back with episode 22. We are calling this one, We've Had a Lot of Sleepless Nights, and it could literally be the kiss of death that we have the wannabe Mr. Scary joining us today. That should be joining us today. And it absolutely kills me that we actually have to thank him today. So it should be an interesting 8 hours of material. Tommy and Zeus, how are you?
Oh, it's great. Love the intro as always, Sonny. And who is that special someone that we're referring to? Yes, it's the person that we always forget, the man responsible for our intro music. The next best thing to George Lynch, Tony from Restrayned joins us for this. What's up, buddy?
What's up, bitches?
Oh, see, there you go.
Nice.
All right.
So we're off to a bad start.
And that's why I take shots at him and you guys feel sorry for him.
That's right.
Well, not really. Not really.
Well, we don't really feel sorry for him, but
we feel sorry for the people listening to this who don't like Docken, because strap yourselves in, because if you thought Hotel California was 4 hours long, woohoo!
Yeah, and that only had 2 people in love with that album. This one could have 4 in love with an album.
Do you like Docken? Do you like Kiss of Death?
George Lynch.
Me too.
Do you like hearing guitars?
You like Don's hat?
Do you think it's a good idea to walk down a hallway during a video with your best friend?
With your best friend.
Getting fat and sweaty and not being able to sing.
Dude, there's no way Don's pulling off that leather duster right now in 2021.
A little bit
no
tight.
way both of them are walking down the hallway right now.
One behind the other, maybe. Yeah, there you go.
Not without the fucking somebody buttering the walls.
Here we go. Make sure we don't tag any of these guys in the post on Twitter.
Hey, it sounds like they give a great review. Let's listen.
We hear these assholes. They say I need to butter my ass to get down the hallway in the next video.
Well, the week before we do this album, we're texting each other articles that say Don's just an embarrassment to himself. He just needs to retire. What the fuck was that?
I didn't say that. Tony said that.
I didn't say that.
Blabbermouth said that.
Yeah, was it
true,
Loudwire or something that had something about him needing to retire?
Dude, those guys hate everybody but Corey Taylor and Slipknot. That's all they love. That's Loudwire's website.
All I said when I saw it was, is this 20 years old? That's all I said.
Oh, damn.
Anyways, before we always begin, we go backwards and look at what we did last month. And last month, we did a little album that I kind of liked and was extremely polarizing. So we've done 2 polarizing in a row. Feedback is always interesting. This time is very mixed. And we usually start with our poll. Tom, we did the poll with the 4 songs from the album. How did that go?
Yep. So it was Hotel California. So as always, the polls, the 4 best songs, and the options were Hotel California, the title track, Life in the Fast Lane, Victim of Love, and Last Resort. No surprise, Hotel California with 47%, Life in the Fast Lane at 28, Victim of Love 14, Last Resort at 11. And a couple comments on that poll there. You're gonna hear similar comments like this from a lot of people. Our buddy West Beach, not an Eagles fan, but thanks to your review, I have a better appreciation of this album. I might have to take a listen to the one I got. He said, I might have to take a listen to one of those that I got in one of those, quote, I'm getting rid of a bunch of records. Do you want them? Offer. John Schaefer said, Wasted Time is the best song on that record. Bill Elam, Victim of Love, that riff. That's a good one. Oh, and here we go. How ironic. We're going to read feedback from Tony.
You don't say.
Last Resort is effing brutal. Pretty Maids is almost as bad. Does this song even have a chorus? There is no hook. It literally went nowhere. Waste of time. Speaking of wasted time, that song ain't great either. Hashtag curmudgeon post.
Now,
Yes.
how did my favorite part about that? Then we have a discussion.
Yeah.
Because what are you talking
Yeah.
about? I really like this album. I'm like, you really like this album? You just shit on it as your only comment about 3 things. And you were fucking brutal. You're like, no, I really like it. I'm like, dude, you are fucking negative.
I said I like Eagles. Okay. I didn't say I necessarily like the album. The record itself is good aside from those 3 shit songs. What do you want from me?
So when
Which
you
is a third of the album, so whatever.
but
What are you gonna do?
that's his way of saying I really like the album.
I really like it.
Fucking this song
There's only
sucks.
3 bad ones.
This song sucks. Like, come on. But go ahead, finish the rest of those, Tom.
Okay, so Jack Broad, Life in the Fast Lane, Stealth. For a song I've heard a million times on classic rock radio, I will never get tired of Hotel California. I can't say that for a lot of other great but overplayed radio staples. Paul said Last Resort. Oh, yeah, love Last Resort. Shivo said Hotel California. So a lot of things on that. And then we'll just quickly go over some comments on the episode specific.
On the Twitter?
Yeah, on the Twitter. Yeah,
Okay.
We're going to open up the social media.
Okay.
Our buddy Steve, love the diversity of bands and albums you bring us and the varying views of everyone involved. Even if you don't like the band or the album, it's always a great listen, even better when the opinions get heated. And then Sonny jumps in here and says, as predicted, everyone that agrees with me are Poonie burner accounts.
That's my go-to comment against Sonny.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
fucking no matter what. It's always like,
No matter what.
Yeah.
Save Rock and Metal said the conversation was great in this episode, but every other album review you have done was a better album. Okay, you know what though? I don't mind that as long as people appreciate the conversation and the review. I don't. That's what I care about. You know, I know I don't expect everybody to like all these albums. Joel Hoffman, my dad passed away in 2014, left me his truck. Shortly after that, I moved to the Delaware Shore, and my best memories was when I moved here, cruising down the coast, playing the Best of the Eagles CD. I don't know why, but that CD helped me through those times. Those great songs are timeless. Yeah, I agree. That's people have memories with music like that. Paul's Bare Feet Twitter account. Great episode. Love when you guys have Murph on. Great insights by all. It gave me a better respect for the album. I won't get into it about our Lord and Savior Vinnie Vincent being elite compared to the Eagles. Oh, I forgot about that whole thing. People comparing that Vinnie Vincent was better than friggin' Randy Meisner or Joe Walsh or whatever.
No, it was like Don Felder and Joe
That was
Walsh.
it, Don Felder.
Oh, he's a better guitarist.
Oh god, and then we got into a big Twitter argument about what the word iconic means.
Motherfucker.
Forget it. Skip it. Because then that ended up going into our text group.
Oh.
Here we go. Mark ain't John. After listening to this episode, I'm glad I didn't waste my time on the Eagles.
Did I make a comment? Thanks, Sonny, on that one?
Yeah. There you go.
I'm guessing.
We got Sean Geek. Most underrated song is Pretty Maids All in a Row. The most heartfelt song on the album with lyrics dipped in so many meanings. Seems to be a more endearing quality of this song. Yeah, his vocal is different, but that's what makes it work better. And then we got something from Metal Old Guy who said, you know what bores me? Lazy people. The Eagles' music has so many dynamics to it. Country, rock, funk, soul, incredible lyrics. The band certainly has a ton of drama as well. Go read Don Felder's book. Love that you guys are doing classic rock. Can't wait for Tom's Steely Dan pick. Oh, God.
Oh no.
Brace yourself for that one. Oh, here we go. Daniel Williams. Love you guys, but the Eagles are overrated and boring. I think Metal Old Guy was responding to that. I'll try to skip around the long episode to find the exciting parts, but since you're talking about this band, I'm assuming there are none.
Go watch History of the Eagles and tell me that's boring.
That was good. Stuart
It was
H.
good. It was.
That was really good. Stuart H. I want to thank Zeus for choosing this album and saving me money by making sure that I never buy this bland, boring turd of an LP.
I want my money back too, but I can't get it.
SV Puga, I love the Eagles. I'm a metal guy who discovered this album when I was 15. Each track marked a piece of my life. I love the dynamics of fast and slow. I don't skip any of them. Great choice, always surprising me. DG from Tennessee, great choice, Zeus. Good call on Henley and Fry being straight up dicks. If you read Felder's book, there were plenty of times that was the case. I grew up on the Eagles and Kiss, so I really enjoyed this episode. Keep them coming. Max English, album is not great. Zeus's singing didn't make it better, but the conversation was fair and insightful. I'm not a country fan, so I'd rather listen to harder rock versus this stuff. Jeff Reynolds, I know I'll get savaged, but the Eagles bore me. I know they're great singer-songwriters and talented ass musicians, but give me Gene and Paul any other day, and on the other days, give me Ace and Peter. God. I listened to this album after your show. Hotel California should have closed the record. We talked about that. Our buddy Nige, looking forward to this one. Great pick, Zeus. Always love when Murph has a guest starring appearance. Sean McNair, I didn't think you guys did anything but hair metal. Well, we're back. Clark Side of the Moon, great review, guys. Not a huge Eagles fan, but this review helped me to appreciate this classic. There's a reason that overplayed songs are overplayed. That's true. Koba, absolute excrement. The parts were definitely greater than the sum in this band. I wouldn't walk across the street to see them for free, but I may pay a couple bucks to see Walsh or Henley solo. Hell, even Fry's corpse would be more entertaining. Oh, God. Fry. And then Sonny said, wow, that's even harsh for my ears. Harmon Stellar, do I own this record? Yes. Bought it many years ago. Do I have buyer's remorse? Yes. Can I sell it on eBay? No. Why? Because a ton of others have buyer's remorse too. Oh, man. All right. That's some Twitter shit there. So
all right, let's wrap up some Facebook.
Yes.
Shit. Our buddy Scott Donaldson, who's down under. Another enjoyable episode, boys. Great hearing Murph on again. Gotta say, never really got into the Eagles too much, too mellow for me. I do appreciate the music talent, though. In fact, that they sold so many albums is amazing. Don't know any of the members other than Glenn Fry, as he appeared in my favorite 80s TV show. What is that? What do you guys think it is?
Miami Vice.
Yeah, smart man, Tony. Miami Vice. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks again, boys. Sean Geek Podcast. I don't remember this guy. I keep trying to figure out which of you I'm siding with the most on this one as I dig into more and more episodes. I'm really enjoying the show. Keep up the great work, guys. Sean McNair, in the 80s, under the influence of anti-rock evangelists who interpreted Hotel California as being the Church of Satan, which they said was founded in 1969. The wine is symbolic of the Holy Spirit, and we haven't had that spirit here since 1969, was God leaving town when the Satanic Church was started. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Matt Wallace.
Uh-oh.
When I saw this new episode pop up, it was the only thing that popped up. I was so excited that I started to churn up a quarter-size container of man-made, handmade mayonnaise. The title track is easily a top 10 greatest songs ever made. Side one of the album is absolutely amazing. Sorry to cut this post short, but Churning Stick is begging to be put back to work. Hellman's Ain't Got Nothing on Me. Thanks for the inspiration. A combination of all your voices, almost like swallowing a whole bottle of Viagra.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
Oh my God. Max Lynch, like Tom's thought on If Victim of Love was a Kiss song that Peter Criss sang, would have been way better than wasting that vinyl space on Then She Kissed Me.
Exactly.
Adam Nickmeyer was surprised how much I disliked the second half of this album. I thought that the Walsh era got rid of the insipid, easy listening songs from the Eagles, but I guess not. And I'll take Glenn Fry song over Henley any day of the week. And CeCe DeVille over Felder twice a day.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Jesus
that
Christ.
is just nonsensical.
No boring ass Last Resort on Open Up and Say Ah, for sure.
That's true.
Well, he's got a point there.
Oh my God. Julian James. Anyone want to watch wanting a good in for an Eagles watch? I recommend the Farewell One tour filmed here in Melbourne, an exceptional live concert currently shown here in Australia on Amazon Prime. Joe Walsh is a beast.
Yep.
Sneed Rock, who was recently a comment of the week there, Tom. Another
right.
great episode, dudes. And also a shout out to Murph and Pooney, who also did a great job. I enjoyed this because I'm not a huge Eagles fan, but I do like and appreciate some of their tunes and songwriting. I always thought that the album had way too much long, ponderous mellow tunes. I would have loved to have a couple more, one being an upbeat countryish tune, another rocker. I'm shocked that Walsh's tune was what it was. Do you think Henley and Fried said you could have sung a song, Joe, but it has to be within these guidelines? Or do you think he wrote that tune to fit in with the Eagles? Zeus, my Greek brother. I didn't know Steve Rock was Greek. Your Walsh impression is hilarious and sounds like your Ace voice after a couple more bottles of booze. I don't know what these guys were doing, but next thing you know, you're fighting on stage. When that happens, then you got problems. Dude, he sounds like a fucking stroke victim.
He does. He sounds like he's got some head. He sounds like he's got a head injury.
But he's a fun guy. Everybody loves Joe Walsh.
Oh, yeah.
He's the most likable guy in fucking rock. He's just, everyone likes Joe Walsh. Nice.
Yeah, he's the ace of the Eagles.
He's the ace of rock.
Yeah.
Ace. Ace Frehley.
Is that what he does?
Yeah. Because of your views on the longer, slower tunes, I'm going to go back and give them a repeat listen and see if they grow me more. The one surprise for me was the Meisner track. Loved it right away. It is a fucking, I love Randy Meisner. Yasu Palikaria. I can read some Greek, and that just means hello. And Palikaria, I'm just thinking brothers, friends. It's like my brotherly friends. It's a nice way of greeting people. So there's your Greek lesson of the week. Mike Rowan, great episode. Like the diverse album choices and opinions of all of you. Bukaki Puni, not liking any Joe Walsh solo material. How about ILBTS? I'm trying to run the fucking acronym in my head right now. That's a big 10-4. As with Kiss, I like the diversity of different lead vocals on the Eagles tunes. I think Joe's lead vocals on Pretty Maids is awesome touch. Standout tune on the album for me. Thanks for all your hard work. Fuckos, very much appreciated. Ray Farrell tells us 3 hours and 41 minutes, dudes.
Get ready. This one's
4 hours and 31 minutes. It'll be two dudes.
Yeah. Julian James, awesome. Jepson, our buddy, Mr. Jepson. Growing up in thrash metal and Kiss, I just thought the Eagles were old people music. I love Hotel California and learned it on my 12-string. Definitely appreciate them more as I got older. But I got to say, I will stick to the greatest hits. This album is too light. Love the hits. So the only three I liked on this album, Life in the Fast Lane, Victim of Love, Hotel California. I love the passion Zeus has from. It was cool listening, but unfortunately, I agree with Sonny a lot on this one. And then we have Michael Murphy listening to Zeus and Murph wax poetic about this album. It's almost as big of a bore as the band in this album is.
There you go.
Yeah, Michael Moore has tried to repeat that joke 50 times. Over on Loudcasters here, Tom. Paul Hader. Comment of the episode so far after Zeus's extended review reading of this album's themes of lost innocence and idealism. Tom. Yeah, that's what Kiss did with Love Gun. Paul Hyder also continued with random thoughts on the great episode. Brought back memories of my high school English teacher trying to teach us about thematic layers in writing back in the early 80s. He was a middle-aged hippie type with a soft heart who played Hotel California to the class and asked what the song was about. Crickets. Sounds like Mr. Van Driesen from Beavis and Butthead. Definitely the wrong crowd. Got to disagree with Sonny about Joe Walsh. Rocky Mountain Way is great. Also, he is a Muppet, but I love him. Don Henley's I Can't Stand Still was the first time I owned by an Eagles member. Still love it to this day. Finally, help I couldn't have been noticed, but a bit of love Tom has for Zeus at the end of the episode. One of Zeus's obvious favorite albums took a bit of a beating here, but I could sense in Tom's tone towards him that he felt protective of his old friend's feelings. It was nice to hear. Anyway, Zeus, I think the Eagles are definitely a great band, and this is a great album. Tom, I think I owe you a hug or something. I must have missed it, but
that's what I'm protective of your feelings. I leave the jerky things to people like Sonny and Tony.
Nice.
Can't watch the doc in Australia. There's a patent development. What was the name of the doc Murph was referring to? It's History of the Eagles. That's what he was referring to.
Even if you're not an Eagles fan, it's fucking awesome. It's so good.
Yeah. Last two, I got Jason Ward, and one of my favorite parts of your podcast is how everything eventually goes back to Kiss, something I do all the time as well. This was another great listen. The Eagles predate my Kiss fandom, and I grew up listening to them. Rod Stewart and the Rolling Stones as what Mom listened to when I was young. Those are still my faves, and I listen to them, especially the Stones, who are number 2 for me after Kiss. This episode made me go back and listen to the Eagles. Always thought Hotel California could have been a great hits collection on its own. Victim of Love is my favorite, along with Don Henley, who said a few years back on a Soul Tour, but I just can't get over him covering Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Thanks again for a reminder of how great they are with Hotel California and others. Not sure if I heard Sonny Pooney correctly state he was a fellow Dallas Cowboys fan or not. So these about the only Eagles we like.
Oh,
that's right. Tone's a Cowboys fan too.
Do you like Dallas? Me too.
Yes. Do you like NFL? Yeah. Is it Dallas? Yeah.
I'm a Yankees fan. I'm a Canadians fan. Lastly, Sean Hammond. The Eagles I remember as a young kid, the same cousin that introduced me to Kiss Alive, was the same one that introduced me to the Eagles to this record. My 5-year-old mind just heard country type music that my parents were listening to, but with a harder edge. Hotel California was unlike any song I have heard. In that, after the final verse, the music went on for a lot longer. They never were a band that I liked, but like Pink Floyd, all the rockers that I hung out with in high school really liked them. Like you guys, I like some country music. In early 90s country was hot. When Common Thread came out, that's the Eagles' tribute album. It's fucking incredible. I love that. It was huge. And when the reunion happened, the tickets were $100, and I bought one too, and sold out. It intrigued me. It was when I watched the documentary that I understood the musicianship of this band was incredible. And the vocal harmonies are in their own group. I was not surprised that Vince Gill came on board to replace Glenn Frey. I was lucky to meet him a few years ago at the Grand Ole Opry. He was just hanging out so great. He put up a nice photo of him and Vince Gill. Nice. Vince Gill is amazing vocalist and guitar player, actually. He's actually considered pretty good.
He's a killer guitar player.
Yeah, he's got his own little style, but he was a big sessions guy because he's one of the few country guys that have a high-pitched voice. So he makes sense to help out the Eagles, and plus, he was on that tribute album, so it made sense for them guys to get connected. Now we're going to switch over to YouTube. And Tony, take it over from here, buddy.
Man, I can see Tom just restraining that giggle so hard. Okay. So we got Anthony Stratus. Not a big fan of the Eagles, but this was a great episode. Informative and entertaining all in one. Keep rocking, guys.
Nice.
Mr. Antonio 2005. Fact or fiction? Number 1, Don Felder was offered $5,000 a week by Henley to be a part of his backing band. I don't know. Are we answering these?
I don't know if that's fact or fiction.
No clue.
I take fact just because it sounds wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Number 2, Fry would pull a Gene Simmons and rearrange a lyric in a finished song to get a songwriting credit. Became known as change a word and become a third Fry.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, I like that. That's got to be a fact.
Yeah, I get
can see
that like Fry jumps in on songs by changing a few things.
For sure. And then 3, Peter Criss was floored when Henley ripped up the sheet music to Hooked on Rock and Roll for its inclusion on the Long Run album.
Okay, that's definitely fiction.
That's fiction, but it's funny because I'd tear it up too.
That's a great song,
4.
Peter.
All right. Settle down, booger. All this street talk near the end has me wondering if the street giveth, does the street taketh away? Love the Eagles marathon.
Nice. That's a great song.
What album? A marathon.
It's a great song of Hot in the Shade. I will wave that Hot in the Shade flag forever.
Yeah, I dig that song too.
Yeah.
All right. So Terry the Man, you should have done the Long Run, aka the Cocaine album. So much turmoil went along with that album, yet it's a stone cold classic.
One of my faves.
Yep.
And Johnny Be Good. Never owned an Eagles album in my life. Haven't missed a thing.
Love it.
I love when people take the time to just be negative.
It's so great.
That's what we do.
Wow. All right. Now we're going to go to some emails. Sonny, you're going to start with a few and then I'll finish off and then we'll get going. What do you got?
All right. So I got a few here. Jerry Blackwell. I don't care for the album at all. But what other podcast can you get conversations about Maxell 90 blank cassettes and TV Tinner brownies? You guys are the best.
I remember talking about that shit. Yep.
Very, very true. Mac Maddie, Eagles, ? Eagles, ? Eagles, ? Why? The dictionary definition of overrated I'll listen, but I won't be happy doing it. Laugh out loud. There is a reason why there aren't any Eagles podcasts.
Oh, there are Eagles
podcasts. Okay,
there are
I don't
Eagles
know.
podcasts. By the
Are
way,
there?
There's podcasts for almost every major band out there. Yeah,
even Pretty Boy Floyd.
I said major band. Major band. Although I did hear that BC and BB is starting up a Pretty Boy Floyd in a Lizzie Borden podcast.
Mike H. Eagles, some observations. If they came out today, rock radio wouldn't play them. They'd be restricted to modern country stations. Once Joe Walsh joined, they got much better, in my opinion. The coolest thing about the song Hotel California is all the Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan references, which is what the song is about. Not sure how many people knew that. Okay. Thanks for another
he's
couple
back. Anton LaVey. He's right back. He's on camera again.
He's on camera right now.
And then Mike ended it with saying, thanks for another couple hours of entertainment. So he only got through half the episode, I'm assuming.
A couple hours, right?
Exactly. You just listen to the listener mail.
The feedback part?
To the feedback. That's it.
Yeah. All right, let's finish off with a couple more. We got one here from Kevin Northern. Love this episode, guys. One of my favorite albums. I think Don Henley is one of the greatest songwriters of all time. At Last Resort is amazing. This album and the song Hotel California in particular bring me back to 8th grade. Our health teacher at the time used a segment of the semester to teach the students about things like subliminal messages and images and advertising, backward masking songs, possible hidden meanings of song lyrics that can be misinterpreted, etc., and even dove into some occult stuff. Looking back on it, maybe he was trying to teach us that these things aren't always what they seem and that they would be beneficial to our mental health. Anyway, Hotel California was a song he went into in depth, citing possible occult tie-ins because of the picture of Anton LaVey on the album, and that supposedly the hotel became the Church of Satan in 1969, referenced by the lyric, "We haven't had that spirit here since 1969. It was fascinating stuff to me as a teen at that time, regardless of whether there was any truth to it or not. Definitely the most fun class I had in school and probably why I love conspiracy theories. Can't wait for the next album review." Oh, Danny Pooney, brother of the beloved Sonny Pooney.
Uh-oh.
And he starts off with, "Hey, cabin mates." That's right. "I just finished up your latest ARC episode on the Eagles. As always, great job. I'm glad you covered the Eagles since I literally have zero music from them in my collection and wanted to see if I was missing out on anything. After hearing your episode, it has reinforced that I am not."
There you go.
"For me, it just isn't music that I enjoy or can connect with. I can stomach the 2 to 3 hits from the album, but that's about it. I enjoy some of Glenn Frey and Don Henley solo stuff from the late 80s, but the Eagles, Steely Dan, Jackson Browne style of music leaves me bored and a little too subdued. I'm 100% with Sonny on this one. To each their own, nothing but love, Danny Pooney." See, that's another thing I love about Danny. So respectful and kind. How is he related to you, Sonny?
Exactly.
Wait till you meet him.
You saying he's a big phony?
No,
there you go.
He's
Big
literally
phony.
the polar opposite of Sonny.
Thank
Smarter,
God. Good.
better looking, respectful.
Come on, really? Better looking?
Manners. Oh my God. He's everything that you're not.
Wow. Tony's in love with Danny.
I would never say that about your brother to you.
No, you can't.
We got one from Michael Andreessen. Greetings from Nebraska, the home state of Randy Meisner. From your stories about how you became Kiss and Eagles fans, I'm guessing we're close to the same age. I'm 93, the same age as Gene Simmons and Going Blind, so I apologize if you're older or younger. I don't know if they're my all-time favorite bands to listen to, but without a doubt, my two favorite bands are the Eagles and Kiss. Yeah. I love talking about the internal strife among the numerous ex-members of the bands and how they shameless alpha personalities of Henley and Frey and Stanley and Simmons direct each other's band's decisions and directions. Thank you for giving a proper review of the album. I'll go with Zeus here, and that this is one of my go-to albums that I own in every format possible, save for an 8-track because I'm not a monster. Your podcast reviewing the album was an exceptional listen. I even appreciate hearing Sonny's take on the album. Too often people will just quote The Big Lebowski without offering a genuine opinion on the Eagles' music. All 4 of you gave the album an actual review, which is extremely appreciated. Thank you for also highlighting the efforts from Felder, Walsh, and Meisner. They usually get lost in a huge shadow cast by Henley and Frey, but this album wouldn't be a classic without their contributions. My first ever concert was Kiss in '79 on the Dynasty Tour. I also saw them on the Hot and Shade Tour. I've seen the Eagles 4 times, The first being on Hell Freezes Over, and then 3 times when Felder was no longer in the band. Keep up the entertaining podcast. It's also a joy to hear you call out Pandemic Paul. By the way, you mentioned how poor Randy Meisner is aging. He's on his way to resembling the elderly prisoner in that scene from Out of Sight when Clooney notices them and sees his own future. It turns out that most of the elderly folk in western Nebraska look like that, which reminds me, I probably need to escape from Nebraska. Hopefully Ving Rhames is stealing some getaway car from a grocery store will come save me from a similar fate where I'll end up in the trunk with a federal marshal who looks like J-Lo. Looking forward to your future podcasts, especially your takes on the elder and headband Paul. Sincerely, Mike Andreessen.
Nice.
And one last one here from Angelo Capasso, who jumped in when I went crazy about that book, The Magus, that they referenced talking about Hotel California. He's a big fan of that as well. So my brother with books there, Angelo Capasso, we love you, buddy. So that wraps up emails and feedback on Hotel California.
Yes. So thank you, guys. Now we're going to switch and go on over to Back for the Attack by Docken. We're back into the wheelhouse of what's considered hair metal or melodic rock, glam metal. I don't know what you would call it, but I know I wasn't calling it hair metal when this came out. Right. I have a vivid memory of this coming out, but let's start with our guest today, and that's Tony. Tony, want to tell us how you got into and your, story with Dokken's Back for the Attack?
Sure. So I got into Dokken when actually Under Lock and Key came out. So I was big into Rat and Striper at the time, and then here comes, In My Dreams. Starts with that huge vocal a cappella chorus, caught my attention right away. And then as soon as that guitar tone hit, I was mesmerized and I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And then when George ripped the solo, then that's it. I was in. So it was a no-brainer. I bought this thing as soon as they came out on cassette. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't probably say if I like it or not, but basically Dokken is one of my favorite bands of all time. George is my number one when it comes to guitar players. Met him several times. We've opened for Lynch Mob. We've opened for Dokken. Actually, the first time I met Dokken was on when they were touring on this album. Just a little quick note here. We were skiing in Geneva, Switzerland. We weren't skiing. Anyways, so we're in the airport in Switzerland, and I'm coming down one of the ramps to a terminal, and I saw this dude with like this amazing hair. I was like, wow, that guy's got really great hair. Kind of looks like George's hair. And then I look a little over, and then there's this dude with this huge bush of blonde hair, and I was like, that looks like Mick Brown's hair. And sure enough,
like who?
Wild
Mick Brown.
How dare you disrespect him by not calling him by his full name?
Yeah. Okay. My bad. So, anyways, and mind you, I'm 18, and I literally have the cassette in my Walkman as I'm walking down, listening to them, right? And so I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my god! And my mom's like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And as soon as we get in the terminal, I was like, "Well, Dokken's right outside." And Dad's like, "Of course, Dad. Who's Dokken?" So I showed him my tape. He's like, "Oh, well, see if you can get a picture, right?" So I was like, "Oh, okay, duh." Like I didn't even think about it. So I turn around, and here comes Don. He was walking past me, and I just go, "Okay, that was Don Dokken, cool." And then next comes Jeff Pilson. He's wearing this little Civil War type looking hat. He walked past me. I was like, "Okay, that was cool." And then George and Mick come in together, and they're clearly stoned. I didn't know that at the time, but yeah, they were. Anyway, so I just walked up and I pulled a Sonny when he met Tony La Russa, but I won't go into that. I was like, I wasn't quite as bad as that, but I was like, "Excuse me, George, can I get a picture with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." And Mick goes, "Jeff, picture." And so Jeff comes running back, and you can see he's turning around. "Don, picture." And Don comes running, and Don's like, "So-and-so, picture." Literally, I had the whole band, the whole crew, everybody, bam, bam, bam. I'm standing next to George. Dad takes the photo. I'm over the freaking moon. I can't even believe what just happened. I'm dying. I get back, and I know when I got back to work, I told Sonny all about this. Couldn't wait for the damn photos to get developed, because back then, of course, we're talking about little 35 millimeter cameras, right? Get the damn film. I get all the pictures. Look. Where is it? I can't find the picture. Yeah. Dad didn't have the heart to tell me that when he took the picture,
oh no,
it started winding right away.
Oh,
you know, when you get to the end of the film. Yeah, he didn't have the heart to tell me at the moment. And I was like,
that's rough.
Oh, brutal. Yeah. I mean, at least I still have the memory, and I've met the guys now several times. So,
well, I hope you shared the story with them.
You know what? I haven't yet, which is kind of funny, but there's time, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, that's my that's my back for the attack.
That's awesome, buddy. That's
nice.
Awesome.
That's a great
Sonny.
one.
Okay, so my first exposure is in my dreams video on MTV. You know, I really wanted to be more of a singer than I wanted to be a musician, so they didn't really hit me right away. Like I liked the acapella beginning of In My Dreams. I liked Under Lock and Key, but I was in my early teens, so the music kind of felt a little more serious almost than some of the fun stuff that I was listening to. The friendship between, the friendship between Tony and I starts right around this album's release. So I didn't really start getting into this album probably till 6 or 12 months later, and we'll talk about some of the songs and why. Lynch being Tone's favorite, he's heavily influenced, and I'm hanging around him all the time, so it's in the car all the time, blah, blah, blah. So I've got all the Dokken albums, with or without Lynch. I like a good amount of the music that's available, but to me, Don has never been what you would call the greatest frontman on the planet. So the live aspect, although I saw them 4 times during this tour and 1 time before this tour. By the way, Loverboy opened for Dokken at Great America once. Wow. I saw them in '86. But they just never blew me off. Like Don never blew me off stage. George, obviously, there's no doubt. So I never really super connected to being a Dokken super fan. Like I've got this list of my top 100 bands. They're number 38 on that list. So obviously I like Dokken, but I'm not by any means what you would call a super fan. And honestly, they have never been good live. I have yet to talk about a great Dokken live show. Like I just have never seen it. And honestly, I haven't seen a great Lynch Mob live show. Right. So I just, they've never blown me away. That's just all there is to it.
Okay.
Tom.
All right.
Dokken.
All right, John.
So my relationship with Dokken, it's kind of weird because I didn't really get into the full discography of Dokken till like later in my kind of rock music life, because when Dokken was popular, I was into a bunch of other stuff. And Sonny, you kind of hit on what I was trying to put into words, was that they were like very like serious at the time. Like they weren't like a fun, glammy hair metal, like MTV band. Like Don was like very like, ooh, like, you know, just like very, like
what was he?
It's like, ooh. Like he was like very serious and very smoldering, you know. Yeah. He wasn't like that, you know, Bret Michaels or fucking, you know, those, you know, because now that we've done Look What the Cat Dragged In, I can get back to shitting on Poison.
We didn't do it on the episode.
Exactly. But I've always liked Dokken, but when they were in their heyday, I was like a hits guy. Like I never really got into the deep of Tooth and Nail and Lock and Key and Back for the Attack. I knew the videos and I knew, you know, Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Burn Like a Flame, but they didn't really. It wasn't something that I was into. And I remember when they did Monsters of Rock in '88. And I was like, oh wow, Dokken, they're like a metal band. Like I'm not really into that kind of stuff, because they Monsters of Rock back then didn't have like hair bands; they had like metal bands. And for Dokken to be on that was kind of like a big deal. Not to mention, around this time I was into hair metal, and I was really heavily into like '80s like hip hop. I was listening to like Beastie Boys and Public Enemy and like all that kind of shit, like a lot. So a lot of the rock stuff was, you know, Motley Crue, you know, Poison, still some Kiss. Dokken just never really did it for me. And then as I got older, I started listening to, like, once streaming became a thing, and once like especially satellite radio became a thing, I started really hearing them more and listening to them more. And now, I mean, I'm 48 years old. I listen to them more than I ever have. And I think their music really, really, really holds up in 2021 because it really is different than the bands that they were competing with at that time. We'll get into that as we talk about the music itself, but huge fan of Dokken. I saw them once, but it was recent. It was like maybe within the last 10 years. They actually toured with Firehouse when I saw them. It was actually a pretty good show. Dawn was okay. Firehouse was not good. Sonny, that face you're making is accurate. Firehouse was not good. But the show was fun, and Dokken, they played all the hits, so it was a good time. But they didn't have George Lynch, so I missed that. But it was good. But yeah, huge fan of Dokken and excited to get into this album.
All right. For me, I've got a lot of memories with Dokken. First thing is, I don't know about you guys. So when you're little and you get into music, you start buying the albums, you start seeing the MTV videos, you start thinking like, this is who I want to be. This is when you're young. You're like, I want to be Larry Bird, but not ugly. I want to be I want to be this guy, but like talented, Well, hair metal and stuff took off. The quintessential guitar guy that I always was like, I want to be him, was George Lynch.
Yep.
To me, he had the best look. Like he was a good looking guy. He had cool hair. And he had flashy, awesome looking guitars. The way he played it, the way he looked, that was it for me. But when did I hear of him? I didn't take this love of metal and rock and stuff and actually put any effort into it. See this effort like Tony and actually learn to play the guitar. I just always, had a guitar, but I never want to put any work into learning it. So I would buy them. Hit paraders, the circus magazines, and all these things to read about bands. Well, one time I bought Guitar Magazine. I don't know if you remember that back in the day. I don't know if it's still around. Just Guitar Magazine.
Musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Guitar Magazine had at one point Solo of the Year, and it was In My Dreams. Now, they always had classic rock stuff in there. And I remember Beatles stuff, freaking Leonard Skinner stuff in Guitar Magazine. The guitar solo of the year was George Lynch, In My Dreams. I was like, what the fuck is this? Finally saw the video. And when he did that solo on that flashy guitar, and then they do the duplicate of him, whatever they did, the special effect. I'm like, holy shit. Like I never even heard, like I was buying shit before I heard it because the hype, what I felt about Dokken and George Lynch. And I'm like, this guy's the coolest thing. And then what do I do? Like I do my over excessive OCD shit, spontaneous shit. I went and bought every fucking cassette there was of Dokken. And then when I heard like Tooth and Nail, the guitar solo, I'm like, holy shit. That solo made me a George Lynch fan forever. And then Unchained the Night, In My Dreams. I'm like, oh my God. So now I had built this thing up and I actually bought, just like I had the VHS of Bon Jovi from his first two albums, the videos, I bought Unchained the Night, the VHS of Dokken. I don't know if Tony, you're shaking your head. Did you have that?
Hell yeah, I wore that thing out. Are you kidding me?
And you watched
I still have it out there. I have it out there.
I got it too downstairs.
And I had it, and there's some concert footage in there, backstage stupid stuff. And I got into that. So by the time Back for the Attack was coming out, I had already I caught myself up waiting for this. So this was one of those albums that I'm like, when you're young and you're into music and you're buying the magazine and that album's, it's coming out. Like I remember when Kiss's Crazy Nights was coming out and they called it something else. I forget the name. What was the name of it? They were hyping that this is the new album, but I shouldn't have brought it up because no one's going to know the answer to this. But anyways, wasn't it Who Dares Wins?
That sounds right. Around. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So but that's the thing. Like you have this hype, like we can't wait. Dokken's new album is coming out. But then all of a sudden, like you start reading all the magazines, you're like, Jesus Christ, this band doesn't like each other very much. And you're like, and I remember reading like reader feedback to them that people are like, stop fucking getting these guys to fight. You're going to break up the band. And I remember all this tension. I'm like, oh, well, I hope this album comes out. And I remember where I was. I was at the mall. I think it wasn't the Meadow Glen Mall. It was some
That's too
mall.
bad for you.
Meadow Glen. Well, I didn't get stabbed there, Tom. So it wasn't the Meadow Glen
that would have
Mall.
been the Assembly Square Mall where you get stabbed.
You know what I think it was? What's that? The Middlesex Mall before the Burlington Mall.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Or was it the Burlington Mall?
Dude, the Middlesex Mall was like a substance abuse center with stores. That was like the worst mall. Like,
regardless, maybe it was the Burlington Mall. I remember being there and being with like a friend that I played hockey with, not a metal guy. And I'm like, I'm buying this tape. He's like, what the fuck is a Dokken? I'm like, oh, this is shit. It's just something I like. And I bought the cassette. And the whole time I'm like, I can't fucking wait to get home. I can't wait to fucking get home. And then I played it. And you'll hear what my reaction is, obviously, as we go down the list. But Dokken was always one of those bands that I really liked. And before I got into them, I was like you, Tom. I felt like they were like a metal band, like harder, kind of closer to Metallica.
Yep.
Than a like happier Rat and Motley Crue. When you open up the magazines and the guys and girls are like they're smiling, or the shots of the band are, you know, partying with chicks or backstage laugh. Dokkens were always like serious poses, serious faces. Like they didn't look like yeah. It's the fucking NWA thing. Ooh, now lick my balls. Ooh, that's where that comes from. Fucking, don't matter, just don't bite it.
Oh, that review's coming up soon too.
Yeah. Ooh, god damn. Anyway, yeah, here comes.
Oh shit! God, like that. Oh shit!
Dokken always seemed a little more serious.
Yeah.
And like, ooh, these guys are fucking tough, or like they're harder than what I was used to. But I got into it. I stayed with them, and I bought Beast for the East right after this, and I fell off. I ended up getting Wicked Sensation. I had a conversation with Jay from the Hook Rocks the other day. He's like, oh, well, you know the brilliance of that album. I'm like, dude, I had that album. I don't think I ever listened to it because
it's not brilliant.
Yeah, because
it's pretty good. It's actually pretty
a lot of good
so
stuff.
he was like, dude, you don't listen to George Lynch's stuff since that? I'm like, am I supposed to? And he's like, oh, I'm like a lot of these bands, I dropped off in the 90s. So up to like this, and then they joined that big tour, the Monsters of Rock tour with the Scorpions. No, but they did the one in Russia. Didn't they do that?
Yes.
The Peace Festival, Moscow Peace Festival.
Yeah, it was like
yes.
The Scorpions. Yeah. I remember listening to it on the radio, which you never hear that kind of music on the radio. It was like Metallica, Scorpions, Dokken, Van Halen, and Bon Jovi.
Yeah, that toured here too, Monsters of Rock.
Yeah. And so I remember Dokken getting on there, and I was like, had all this hope for them, and then they fucking blew up. Yep. And I remember that fucking magazine shot of them.
Hip Raider.
Yeah, with George and Don with their backs to each other holding guns up.
Yep.
And I'll never forget all the feedback. Fans were like, what the fuck, guys? Stop this shit. And everyone getting bullshit that they broke up because of the stupid feedback and comments about each other. But having read more books and stuff about, you know, Don and George and shit, Don's always been kind of a fucking dick. Sorry.
Well, I want to read a quote here because I know we're going to talk about Dokken a little bit because we all have a lot to say before we do the track. But so I've mentioned this book before by the great Martin Popoff, who's also on Pantheon podcast. He wrote a book called The Big Book of Hair Metal, and it's like a coffee table style book with it's if you're into this, you have to get it. Tons of pictures, and each chapter is year by year, and it's all oral history interview style. So speaking of what you just said, Zeus. Don Dokken says, Monsters of Rock, it was embarrassing. I remember Eddie Van Halen on several occasions knocking on George Lynch's door and saying, you know, you got to change yourself, George, because George used to play the shows and even in front of 100,000 people with his back to the audience. And George would say, I can't help it. I hate Don. I hate Don's guts. I can't do it. How do you do it? Eddie Van Halen would say, look it. I didn't like David Lee Roth. We fought like cats and dogs, but nobody knew about it on stage. We didn't wash our laundry on stage for 1.5 hours every night. We were the best of friends because we owed it to the fans. You owe it to your fans who paid hard-earned money. And after you get off stage, you can hate Don's guts, but for an hour and a half, get out there and do your job. And that's the difference with these guys. They fucking couldn't stand each other.
We saw that tour. It was a brutal live. Van Halen and Scorpions blew them off the stage.
Of course
it wasn't
did.
Even close.
Of course
right?
they
So
did.
did Metallica, but that's don't got to mention it. Lynch is a bit of a diva because we saw his club gig. I think when you guys opened for him, it was hot in the club, and they were open this side door, and the side door would shut because there's security and there's worries, right? And I think George stopped in the middle of a song and said, open that fucking door right now and leave it open. I'm walking off right now.
Yep.
Like he's a bit of a diva when it comes down to it.
Well, dude, okay, real talk.
That sounds like amateur hour though at that place.
They had the heat.
It was hot.
Okay.
It was hot.
We went on, we were this main support. So right when we got off, I was like, holy shit balls. Like I was sweating my ass off. And I was like, why is there hot air coming out of the damn vents? And so I actually went to the owner and said, dude, you got to turn the air on, man. This is like insanity. And so, he was up there and he was sweating his ass off. And he was, you don't open that fucking door. I'm walking right out of here.
And
they kept that door open?
And don't you think some of that hatred started like early on? Because I think most of us either have it or have read that 80s book, Nothing But a Good Time. And don't you think that a lot of that hatred started with how the band was created, about Don taking
the name,
Georgia, the songs, and going over to Europe and then calling the band Docken, and it sounds like that.
And Lynch being like, he's going to take these songs and he's going to do that. He's going to do it. So, well,
this is the same thing with Piercy and Rat, right? Of course, it didn't say Piercy on the marquee, but
right.
That's who had the gig. John Bon Jovi said the same thing. I got the record contract. So really, you guys are employees. I love you. You think you want to be songwriters, but the reality of the situation is I'm the one who got the recording contract. So you're going to have to kind of do what I do, right? And there's all kinds of interviews that both John and George have said they never liked each other. Not from day one. They fought constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it can only last so long. It was a great run,
Sonny? What would you guys say? What do you think the fans split is? Whose side they take?
My guess is most people take George's side because I think most people believe George is more talented than Don. I think it's like
75-25.
I would say the same thing.
Yep. But it is pretty funny how, when you talk about Dokken, after you talk about George Lynch and their music, the next thing you talk about is how much those two guys are assholes and hate each other.
That's right.
Like there's not many bands.
But I wouldn't call George Lynch an asshole.
No, well,
I haven't heard he's an asshole.
Yeah.
I haven't heard other musicians call him an asshole.
No, you're right. That's true.
I've heard other musicians be like, this is insane. I remember I saw something, just a quick little thing about George Lynch. I think I saw something where, who was the guy that was in not Nine Inch Nails? He was in, what's the band with Flea? I'm drawing
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Who's Dave Navarro?
Dave Navarro, yeah.
He has like a YouTube channel or guitar channel. I remember him doing something. He had George Lynch. George Lynch was just like, oh yeah, just do this. And he's like, dude, what are you fucking talking about? Like, just do the you can't, nobody can just do whatever you just said to do like you.
Yep.
Like, it's like, he was just like, what are you talking about? That's insane what you just showed me. Like, how the fuck am I going to do that? And like,
but the hard part, I think the other hard part is when George doesn't like something, he can't hide it. Right. We all saw that Beast from the East interviews where George looked like he was like in the hostage video as everybody the rest of the three guys are into the interview. Everything's going. And George is sitting there like you would think he's on his phone, but it's 1988. There is no phone. Yeah, right. So we don't even know what he's doing. He's just totally out of it.
He's an independent soul. That's what I was saying.
And no matter how talented he is, if it's the four of us, it's like, dude, are you in or are you out? Like, make a decision.
Yeah, but he's a strong-willed, independent soul. That's how I would think of him. But he's talented.
And I think that's what probably led to and that's why I don't think it's a surprise to anybody who knows about him that he went and created his own band after because he probably loved that more than anything he did because now his name is on the band. Now it's Lynch Mob, and granted, you're right, some of the stuff is pretty good. It's not an album I go to often, if at all. But it's probably not a surprise. He's like, good, fuck that guy. Now I got a band with my name on it, you know?
I've heard all sorts of mixed bags. Like there's like George Lynch. You can buy, 20 things of his. 3 of them are fucking terrible, but some are okay. Some are brilliant, but there's always something that he does. He's like, what the fuck is this? And unfortunately there's no, he doesn't suffer from like finding gigs. Like he's doing shit non-stop, putting music out there. So give him credit for that. The last thing I'll say is I found a nice YouTube clip. They were talking about the new guitar gods coming up, after the Page, Beck, and all this was the 3 from the 70s. And there's a YouTube clip of Eddie in the early 70s, Randy Rhoads in the early 70s, and then George Lynch. I'm like, wow, Lynch. I didn't know Lynch had a reputation for a guitar play back then with those 3. And they were talking about like the competition that would go into the future between those 3 guitar greats. And really, Eddie's the one, obviously, that, became the king. And then Randy died early, and George just didn't join up with better bands.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the 3 of them came up in LA at the same time. So, I know exactly what video you're talking about.
Yeah.
I watched that not too long ago. But as far as, George being an asshole, no, he's really not. He's actually one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And I've met him like 8, 9 times now. The people that usually say he's an asshole are venue employees. Yep. Because, like Sonny said, when he doesn't like something, you'll know.
Yeah,
100% you're going to know. And so, I mean, he's going to come across maybe as an ass. I don't know. I've never seen it aside from that one time when he was yelling about the door. Outside of that, though, he's always been super nice. Don, on the other hand, again, super nice guy, but diva.
Yeah.
Freaking diva. When we opened for Docken, we were in main support, and we were going up to the dressing room to change back into normal clothes, right? And security blocked us off, and we're like, what's going on? It was like, Dawkins up there. I was like, yeah, but that's our dressing room. Their dressing room's down here. Well, they're upstairs now, too. I'm like, well, all our stuff's there. Can we get in there? And they're like, no, they're doing vocal practice. It's like, what? Like, I just want my stuff, dude. Because they blocked us out of all of the backstage area. We couldn't go anywhere. So we're standing there with all our shit, and we're like, okay. Like, we were not happy that day. I'll just tell you that right now.
You missed an opportunity because when he said they're up there vocal practice, okay, they need that. I've heard it.
Oh, no. I made several comments. But I don't want to be. Well, no, that's not true. I do.
My thinking is, Tony, that there was the buffet there, and he's like, Don gets first dibs. Nobody gets anything left.
Here we go. It only took us about an hour.
Let him finish what he wants. Then you guys can go up there.
Yeah, I mean, the sad thing is that on that tour, Mark Bowles was the bass player, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. He's gonna help Don carry a lot of the vocals, and he didn't. He didn't at all. It was the dumbest thing. I was like, how are you misusing the? Why is he even in your band if you're not going to use him for his vocals?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, it was the dumbest thing ever. But anyways.
Here's a good comment. I just want to talk about kind of getting back to the actual music of Dokken and how we said that they're like serious and kind of unique to what was going on at the time. They weren't Rat, they weren't Motley Crue, they weren't Poison, whatever. And again, this comes from Martin's book, and this is another quote from Don, which I think kind of nails kind of exactly what I think we all think. He said, when we came back from Germany, we got passed on by almost every American label, and they all said the same thing. They said your music is too heavy and your lyrics are too pop. People who like your commercial melody will think you're too heavy, and people who like your heavy side will think you're too commercial. Mm. He said, and then he went on to say, either you had bands at the time like Journey who were doing melodic vocals and melodic music, or you had bands like Accept and Metal Church that were doing screaming vocals and screaming guitars. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing because there weren't a lot of bands like Dokken that were kicking ass musically, but very, very melodic, like very catchy choruses. And we haven't really talked about it, but I'll say right now, I am a huge fan of Don's vocal tone. I'm not going to say he's a great singer, but I love his tone. He reminds me, I'm not going to say he's him, but he gives me the same kind of, when I hear his vocals, it reminds me of something that like Joe Lynn Turner can do. Joe Lynn Turner is a much better vocalist, but that type of like that that kind of like deeper kind of tone, that like emotional kind of tone that with that music, it just carries it and creates a different sound than some of the contemporaries at the time. And I think that's a great way to say it. The music was wicked heavy, but the lyrics and the choruses were very catchy. And I think he's right. It kind of confused at the time. It confused people like me. I'm like, oh, these guys are like a metal band. And then you hear them, and you're like, well, they are, but their music is like their choruses, their verses are extremely catchy, and lyrically they were doing a lot of different things. They weren't doing, the fuck me, suck me stuff that a lot of those bands were doing. Their lyrics were a lot more, for the most part, like thoughtful. They made sense. You kind of listen, it wasn't meet me down at Jimmy's Bar and Grill.
You don't want to play dirty?
Yeah, it wasn't Play Dirty or Number One Bad Boy.
It wasn't Razzmatazz.
I like that it's in the middle, though, right? They weren't exactly citing poetry like Maiden either, right?
Exactly.
They weren't
Thank God.
complicating it like the Rushes of the world. It was simple stuff that you felt like, oh, I could write this if I had the talent. But that kind of thing, yeah.
Yep.
I think that's probably exactly what attracted me to Dokken, is the fact that the music was heavy and the melodies were just so memorable and catchy, and you just sing along. I didn't even know what the lyrics were most of the time because I couldn't understand shit. It's mainly the heavy music and the great melodies, same thing goes for Striper, right? Super heavy music, amazing vocals, right?
Yep.
You got me when you do that. That's why my band sounds the way it does today, honestly.
Yeah, and it's unique to that era of music because, like Don said, you were either heavy or you were pop melody, and not a lot of.
He was heavy, and he's even heavier now.
Oh boy, here we go.
Let's get to the album cover.
Let's do it.
So apparently they have a coat of arms here. I don't know what the fuck this is.
Yep.
The Dokken logo, which has already been defined prior to this. And they got a thing here with the griffin here with the back for the attack here in the front.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. It's kind of unique. I mean, it's a hair band. Well, I even hate now in 2021. I hate calling Dokken a hair band. They looked like it, but they didn't sound like it. But I like when a band makes an album cover like this, where they try to get creative. Again, it's not a great album cover, but it's unique. It's something different. It kind of makes you think that this band kind of kicks ass with an album cover like that.
It falls in the line of Teslas, Wingers, Detonator from Rat. Like, okay, but they did a better job than those guys.
Yes, agreed.
Right? That's what I look at is even Pyromania. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. They also have this shit in the back. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yep.
Wolves and fucking geese. I don't know what that is. Hawks.
Geese.
Ravens.
But see,
I don't know what the fuck they are.
Even on the album cover, like when you look at the back, okay, the front, the colors pop. That's great.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Even the back, like with the historical shit in the background and this attack with the dogs and the eagles, it just feels more serious. Like this isn't exactly like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which never helped them, I don't think, because they were not the Motley Crue. Like, we're heavy for the boys and the chicks dig us.
And for that matter too, even just a quick glance at the song titles themselves are Cry of the Gypsy, Lost Behind the Wall, Standing in the Shadows. Like again, I'm sorry, but it's not Play Dirty. It's not Talk Dirty to Me. It's not Let Me Go to the Show. It's, it's like, wow, what are these guys singing about? It's not Bang Bang You. It's,
it's heavy and dark. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So the other thing is the headshots. Ooh. George Lynch's headshot is a fucking high school yearbook picture.
That he seriously
is it not? The head tilt and everything.
I think I may have used this line before, so forgive me if I have. But if his hair was a little bit darker, that looks like my sister's high school picture from her yearbook in 1987.
What about fucking wild Mick Brown's photo? Isn't that the photo that they use in like those images of, you're from the 80s yearbooks? And the girl, that's what Mick Brown's hairdo looks like.
Wild Mick Brown looks like if CeCe DeVille used heroin.
And I don't understand why, like, one of the eyes are almost covered with the hair. Like, what? Why?
Paul used to do that for a while. Still does it sometimes. And Don Dokken's trying to be like, I'm serious person here. And I have a 3-day beard going. Oh.
Yeah.
Don with the stubble. Settle down.
Yeah. Settle down. I'm a tough guy.
And then Jeff Pilson just like, I think
Looks
I'm supposed
normal.
to be. He's like, I think I'm supposed to be here. He's like, I'm just hi. I play the bass. I'm Jeff. Like, what's going on, everybody?
I you know what? He's a guy that I have always liked in all those bands in this era.
Yeah.
Comes across, he looks pretty cool. Always comes across cool. I just like Jeff a lot. And obviously, George is my main guy. I just, Mick Brown might be a nice guy with the fucking huge ball breaker there, but he's fucking that name. It's got to go.
Does anybody, in all seriousness, does anybody know where that came from? Does anybody,
because he's wild.
It's like the mafia guy, Joe Gallo, going, no. You don't call me Joe Gallo. You call me Crazy Joe Gallo. Oh, okay, crazy.
Crazy Joe Davola.
I don't know that any of the times that I've met Mick that he's ever been serious. You know what I mean? He's always cracking jokes. He's always super loud. I don't know. He's probably just the life of the party all the time.
Yeah.
That's probably where it came from. That's just a guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
who was the guy in Goodfellas? Tommy 2 times? Was it
Jimmy,
Tommy 2
Jimmy
times?
2 times.
Jimmy 2 times. There you go.
Yeah, but he said it. But he was, I'm going to go get the papers. He said everything twice. That's why.
He refers to himself as, I'm wild Mick Brown. Oh, okay.
Okay. Settle down. Wild Mick.
All right.
I remember a couple of club gigs where we saw Lynch Mob because, on this thing, of course, it makes note of that George is not doing any vocals. So when you go to a Lynch Mob show and he has a mic, I'm like, why has he got a microphone? He doesn't do any vocals. It was like the first thing I picked up. I was like, why has he got a mic?
Interesting.
Well, there was stories on the Underlock and Key tour where they gave him a mic, but it was never turned on.
Why?
Because he doesn't sing well.
I mean, you got Jeff.
Do you know what it is? I'll tell you what I think it is.
Yeah. What?
Because the story goes that he wouldn't let Don play guitar on the album at all.
Yeah, that too.
So Don was probably like, then you don't get to fucking sing on this album.
They're such bitches.
Like fucking babies. No, seriously, Don couldn't play. Because I remember reading those articles back then. So Don, are you playing? No, I can't play. They won't allow, George is very protective of he has to play. I'm like, well, there's certainly many guitars on this album. And it isn't just George playing them all the parts live. There's no way that's going to work.
No.
But he does. He doesn't. Don didn't play live. Now Don has a guitar with that crap that's on the back of the album cover. He has that. Yeah. I don't know when he's ever used it, but he's got it.
He just swings it around his neck like Kip Winger does in those videos.
Seriously. I mean, I don't know.
All right. Let's get into the actual album discussion. So Back for the Attack came out November 2nd, 1987. I would say really in the building up, if not there yet, heyday of what's that type of hair metal, glam metal, whatever you want to call it, pop metal, right there. It went up to number 13 of the top albums. It went platinum. How is it only platinum? I don't understand, but it is. It was produced by, I believe it's Neil Kernan. And the thing that sticks out for me is Toby Wright was an assistant engineer on that.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I remember when it came out, and I remember right away that Burning Like a Flame was already on MTV by that point.
Yep.
The other thing, and in the tracks, and we'll get to it, and I remember finding Dream Warriors, which was already released, is on this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another one of those, Wood ends up on Dirt, and other albums that people release as singles for other stuff end up on an album coming up.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
Yeah.
One more, my last little piece of tidbit from the Martin Popoff book. This is from Don again, talking about Back for the Attack. The Back for the Attack sessions were not good. I don't think it's a very good album. I think there are 2 or 3 good songs, which were the singles, and there was a lot of filler. It's a long album, and there's a lot of masturbatory guitar playing. There was a lot of cocaine around. That's when the thing started with, quote, "I don't want Don in the studio." Wow. That's interesting coming from Don, that he thinks this album is not good.
I hope he doesn't think his first solo record is better than this, because
it's
woof.
not.
Woof. Not even close. Woof. Yeah.
Yep.
Even Neil Kernon said, because Neil Kernon had done Rage for Order for Queensryche.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah, and he was signed up to do Operation Mindcrime. But in Neil's words, the Docken circus that was supposed to last 3 to 4 months lasted much, much longer, and I couldn't do Mindcrime.
Oh,
wow. Well, I'm not going to say that was a bad thing, because Mindcrime as is fucking fantastic. So.
Fantastic.
Yep.
No comment. All right.
Yeah, Sonny's staying quiet on that one too.
Brace yourself.
Worse than meh.
Brace yourself for a future ARC episode.
Raft lips, Jeff Tate.
Oh, he's fucking great.
Raft lips.
Well, so you can sit in the cabin while we go watch him. Actually, is the Jeff Tate version of Queensryche going to be the version on the cruise?
Fuck no. Fuck no. The better version is on the boat.
Yeah, that is a good version of Queensryche. It is. You're right. But I like Jeff
great.
Tate.
Jeff Tate will be sweating somewhere else along with Don Dokken at a different festival.
Oof, them and their leather.
Begging for life. All right. So you guys ready to get into the tracks?
Let's do it, baby.
We got a lot of them.
Oh, is there a fucking better way to start off an album? I don't know. Hit it.
All right. So Kiss of Death, stellar opening track. I mean, it starts with a killer riff, and then it goes into another killer riff, like back-to-back killer riffs. And then before the vocals come in, a third freaking killer riff. Are you shitting me right now? I lost it the first time I heard this song. Blew me away. All those pinch harmonics all over the place. Yes, I overuse them now too. It's freaking insane. The vocal melody, super catchy. Don's voice is emotive in this song. Memorable gang vocals in the chorus. And then the solo. He did not disappoint me with this one. Comes blistering out right out the gate. The second half is even more insane. I even stole some of this, or I should say I nicked a little bit of it and used it in a solo in a band that no longer exists, and that music's not out there, so it's okay for me to say I stole that. Love the break.
I have that. I can send it to you. I know what song it's in.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I
kick it in.
Remember. Oh, is it? Yeah. Okay.
It's the third piece. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I love the break after the bridge with just the vocals before it comes back in. And this is where, so I've always been in George's camp, right? It's always like, fuck Don, right? Because, well, there's that feud, right? So I was always definitely Team George. So as a result, I really never gave Don enough credit as a singer. Like Sonny said, he's not the greatest frontman. Definitely. But I definitely did not give him enough credit as a singer, because Don singing on this song is insanity. The notes he's hitting at the end of this song, I don't even know what planet he's on. Seriously, I mean, he sounded fantastic. And then, the end with George with those little spooky riffs, that's becomes kind of a recurring theme starting with this song. I freaking love this song.
Yeah, so this is about the most metal Dokken gets, right? This is metal Dokken. The 3 guitar riffs, I love them too. I love that the drums kind of accent on that pre-chorus right before it goes into the chorus. And I agree, this is probably the best Don is ever going to sound. It's interesting because somebody asked him the inspiration for the song, right? So he said it was about his uncle had AIDS. But Don says, Mick made a comment one night, and I said, hey, Mick, you should be more careful what you're doing. Use a condom. And Mick said, I'm not going to get AIDS. I only sleep with good-looking chicks. And I said, Mick, I don't think disease cares about how a person looks. I thought it was a stupid thing for him to say. So it was about being on the road, all the one-night stands. It's like you have this one-night stand, and what happens? You get the kiss of death. You get AIDS. So for me, all that being said, Don goes, some of our songs are like borderline Metallica. To that, I got to say,
settle down,
Don. Yeah.
This Ain't Metallica. I absolutely love this song. I think it's one of the best opening tracks of 80s rock, period.
No doubt. Yep. Totally agree with everything you guys have said so far. It just an unbelievable brain melting opening track with a solo that is just, I mean, there's a few albums we've said this before. We find ourselves repeating ourselves. So you kind of make a blanket statement at the start of the album. But one thing that I notice about spending a lot of time with this album, I mean, I listen to this album all the time anyway, so it wasn't like I had to dedicate some time for this episode. But spending some extra time with this, the thing that you notice about Dokken that separates them again from their contemporaries is something that is kind of Metallica related. And that is what George Lynch does in Tony, as a guitar player, you can kind of attest to what I'm saying here, is that chugging style that he does, like that kind of palm muted, like that's something that Kirk Hammett and James Hetfield do. You don't hear a lot of 80s like melodic hard rock hair metal bands doing like that. Like that's
it's like a gallop, right?
Well, yeah. But
the Iron Maiden gallop.
That's Metallica, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. You're not hearing a lot of Rat doing that. You're not hearing a lot of Motley Crue, some of that stuff. But George Lynch does it a lot, and he does it in this song, and that is what gives it that metal type of tinge that separates them from their contemporaries. And this song does it perfectly. And you can feel that. And that really does add a thickness and a heaviness to a song that some other songs don't have. And that's one of the reasons why I love this particular song. It's amazing.
So a while back when I first started talking and got to know Tony through Sonny, now you remember this, we had a phone call and we talked about it, and you were displaying, I think, Tony, you're fucking shit faced. Remember, you were like asking about something about like whether your friends.
Oh, that's any Facebook? Thursday.
Yeah.
So
like, should I go on Facebook and play some tunes? Or like, yeah. Well, I was up late and ended up talking with you about it, and I talked to you specifically about this, and you started playing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what you said, it makes me feel bad. I'm gonna it makes me feel great because I'll pat myself on the back. The exact same things you said are on my cheat sheet. Okay. I have, first of all, the guitars. What a kick-ass open. The little Iron Maiden I wrote, which is the chugging that Tommy says. But I have there's 3 opening like guitar melodies on this. One's better than the next. And then that riff, that and I asked you at the time, Tony, I'm like, what is that thing when Don starts singing that all of a sudden, like, I'm like, how the fuck does he do that? What is that? And that's the pitch harmonics that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That is insane. So I know we've had this conversation before about guitar tones and things like that. Tom, you always talk about albums and certain albums about guitar tones, things like that. We've already had one of them on here, my favorite guitar album already, and that was Blizzard of Oz and Randy Rhoads.
Yep. And then this one.
And then here we come with this.
Yep.
We'll get to Out of the Cellar soon. Those 3 guitars for me, the melodies, the way they play. And I know someone's going to say, "Oh, you're talking about Eddie Van Halen and that." These are the 3 that kind of work for me. And this album and that guitar, there's just something about George Lynch's playing. I can't describe it because I'm not a guitarist. The solo is great. Then I talk as Tony did. The second part of it, which comes out afterwards, is even better. Makes the solo. But I always feel like Lynch never is like the opposite of Yngwie and Vinny. He knows when to reel it in and go right back into the song. Oh, yeah. His melodies, you pick up some of the fucking melody or the riffs from the actual verses and stuff, and then he'll go back into. There's just something about the way he can hold a note and that melody, and you're like, God damn it! You want to air guitar and play and put some passion in it and make a guitar face doing it. I can't explain it. It just fucking moves you. And I put the same thing at the end there. Don screaming at the end. It's just his nuts are in a vice. There's no other way of saying that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah,
and then,
a lot of effects.
Yeah.
I believe.
I don't think he ever did that live.
Be nice.
No, live. But
and if he did it, he was dead for the rest of the night.
Yeah, that was fantastic, though.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is it's the beginning of a trend. And usually when we do these album review crews, once in a while I'll throw out, and there's a nice little guitar outro on this.
Yep.
There's a fucking nice little guitar outro on every fucking song on here. Every one. So I'm just going to repeat that. Last thing before we move on, I forgot to mention in the beginning, Kiss of Death. George Lynch, Don Dokken, Jeff Pilson. That's who wrote it. And there's a variety of writers, always the band, but variety of who wrote each song.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable fucking way to open up an album. Ready to go to the next one?
Yep.
For this one, right out the gate, I remembered it from Unchained the Night, the VHS, right? They're playing this in the hotel room when Jeff's explaining, when we're on the road, we record, that was back there. And he had George like noodle over it, right? So right away I was hooked because I already had that ingrained in my head. So I love the way the intro starts with the harmony guitars, and I love that they carry that through the choruses. I like how it gets soft and moody in the first half of the verse, and then it continues to build. Here comes George again. Love the aggressive start of the solo before it gets all mellow and melodic, right? Super, super great stuff. All those, the solo is just tasty. All kinds of little bits of shred thrown in here and there, but it's mainly melodic, right? Love the abrupt end, the way they ended it with just the vocals. Such a great way to end that song. This is a really good pop song, it's a good 1-2 punch for me, and it showed a lot of diversity. Like that first song was just so heavy, and then you want something more radio friendly? How's this one? That's how I look at these two.
Yeah, when this song comes on, first thing that hits my head is "Chained by Love," right? That little chorus thing is so catchy, so simple, and great backing vocals. I love that bend type guitar lick because it feels like you would have to bend it perfectly every time you do the lick, right? Like you could mess that up pretty easy, right, Tom?
Very easily. Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah, you got to make sure you're bending 100% accurately because you're harmonizing those two bends.
Yeah,
actually, it's more than
which
two,
is crazy.
But it's crazy.
What do you mean by, let me stop you for a second. What do you mean by that?
That when
you bend,
no, I know that.
String.
Saying you're harmonizing. It's the same guitar. You're not saying he's putting another guitar over it or something.
100% I am. Yeah, there's multiple tracks of those. Yeah, that little bit. There's multiple tracks, different notes.
So doesn't that become a problem for him trying to do the song live?
It does.
Sure.
We'll talk about that later because he does a lot of overlaying in solos and riffs. That creates a problem live.
That's the same thing with Eddie Van Halen. And Van Halen, same thing. He's the only guitar player, and that creates issues for them live too. So that's a big problem when you have a band with one guitarist. Yeah.
And it goes back to I wouldn't do it any differently. This has to live forever. And the live doesn't have to live forever. Well, now that there's YouTube and all that shit.
Or just pay somebody to be in the fucking shadows in the back and fucking help out.
Standing in the shadows, you mean?
There's also harmonizer pedals that you can use. There's all kinds of technology that you can technically use if you really want to get into it. And there's other ways and tricks to pull it off enough. It doesn't have to be exact, but like you just said, the record's got to live forever. So that shit better sound right.
Yeah. I think it was a great idea to do a mid-tempo after Kiss of Death. I don't think you can do 2 Kiss of Deaths in a row because one of the problems is there's not going to be another Kiss of Death. So after you hear that first song, everything's going to pale in comparison anyway. So you might as well just take it to a new place, show one of the Billboard 100 type charting hits that you go, right. I will tell you, sonically, man, this album sounds great. Like the drums are bombastic and everything's just mixed so well. And it is really the quintessential mixing of what you would want from a mid-'80s, late '80s album from a serious band that knows what the hell they're doing. I really like this song.
Yeah, you guys have hit a couple of my key points, which is great change of pace from the opener of Kiss of Death. In this type of song right here, this is why I love Dokken. Yes, I love Kiss of Death. I love that. But these mid-tempo songs with the sing-along catchy choruses in tone, you said it too, the way and this is a trend that you see in a lot of these songs. The verses progress. The beginning of the verses is mellow, and then wild Mick Brown will do something on the drums to kind of signal that there's going to be a shift in gears in the verse, and then the guitars get a little thicker and heavier. Don's vocals maybe raise a pitch a little bit, and then it leads you into that chorus, and then it slows itself back down for the second verse. Just great stuff. And when you listen to this, and Sonny, you said it too with the production, it's just these are the kind of the albums where it's like, oh, Dokken, they're a hair band. They're not. There's so much more going on, and it just sounds so fantastic. If you're a fan of hard rock with melody and hooks, this right here is just an amazing song.
Prisoner of Love, written by George Lynch, Jeff Pilson, Mick Brown. This did make it up to number 37 on a mainstream rock charts.
Wow.
Which
okay.
I don't even think it was released as a single. So that was interesting. That opening riff is just, and that theme, after everything was just incredible. I like the bass and the drums on it where it comes in and then George comes in. There's a part in the lyrics in the melody that Don does, and he does a great job on this. And that production or whoever they came up with the song structure and stuff, and the way he does his phrasing. Stop thinking that it's all in name, or remember how it used to be. Like those two parts and those lyrics fucking move you. And Sonny is absolutely right. That whole chained by love.
Oh yeah.
And then the guitar comes in right afterwards. To me, that's why you look at this and you be like, if somebody else took this song and did it, they're penalized by who they were and when they were. It is a very good written song that's fucking catchy as hell. The solo is great. George, of course, with the long notes being held, I fucking love. Then there's speed, and then there's notes, and then there's speed, and then back to the melodic shit and the crescendo at the end, and then right back into Dawn. And, of course, this ends with more outro from George. This is the type of song, if you didn't know anything, you didn't listen to Doc and stuff, this is the type of song I wish that you guys in our text group would introduce me to once in a while when you throw out these fucking shitty bands that that I shit on all the time. But I'll be honest with you, I've never listened to them. So it's all fucking done in jest. So when we're always shitting on each other's opinion, and you'll be like, oh, what about this band? Or Warrant's 6th album. And Tom will go, dude, you listen to Warrant after 2 albums? Like, shit like that. Like that you'll introduce me to something that I'll find a Prisoner of Love somewhere. Be like, holy fuck. One of these days I will take you up on some of the suggestions you send, and hopefully I'll be like, dude, you got me. But until then,
I'll send you the new War Kings album. We'll see what you think.
Jesus.
Okay.
And then, yeah. But until then, we'll just keep shitting on each other.
Righty really likes it, so it's gonna be
Fucking
boy.
forget it. Don't even give it to me.
But so far, for the first time ever in the album review crew history, the first 2 songs, everybody's been positive. I don't remember that. 4 of us being positive about 2 songs in a row. Oh, That's fucking unheard of.
And
Let's
Zeus,
see
before we move to the next one, Zeus, you said something that you can apply to probably half this album. If another band did it,
yes,
would have been a friggin' steady rotation MTV video and radio song.
There's another option though. If these two leaders would actually go out and promo together and actually liked each other, and stick around, they're an arena rock band the next album. And these guys are, as you know, they could do Tesla type gigs like Tesla's doing right now versus club gigs that are paying $15,000 a night.
Don even said in an interview, he even said after this album, if they stayed together, they could have done the equivalent of what Metallica did with the Black Album and taken over the fucking rock world, but they fucked up.
Well, the one thing that we've had this conversation before is they didn't have the girls.
Yeah, but that's okay. Metallica never had girls. Scorpions never had girls.
Metallica has got its own. We're leaders of a genre of music.
Yeah, but
right. So they didn't have the girls. And don't say the Scorpions didn't have girls. They had girls in Europe.
Maybe. Yeah, in Europe, they look like men. Maybe German women. German women. German
one
women.
Eyebrow.
Yeah. German women.
German women are not women.
The extras from Pissing Inferno, the German porn that we had.
Apologies if we have any German listeners, but Scorpions attracting German women is not a badge of honor.
Sorry, Helga.
Yeah, exactly. Our college housekeeper liked the Scorpions, okay?
Ooh, fucking lips. Heard of?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to the next one.
But that's the one thing, though, I do, and I forget the band, though, that we had this conversation about, is like they didn't have the girl aspect of the band, and they fucking hurt them, or they didn't have the big ballad. Rat didn't have the big ballad.
Yep.
Dokken didn't have the big ballad, and they're not bad-looking guys at the time, but they didn't really have a girl following at all.
Because their music wasn't girl friendly. It wasn't Bon Jovi. It wasn't Poison. It wasn't.
But that's why I'm surprised. And I look at this and this is platinum.
Yeah.
Versus those other bands. You're like, fuck, Dokken's not bigger than Warrant. But yet Warrant had double platinum.
Correct.
That's why they stayed at platinum, not double. And that's the thing. They didn't have that girl aspect. So anyways, let's see if we can go 3 for 3. Next track.
All right. So, I don't know. 3 for 3 might be a little rough. So this one, for me, starts a little lackluster and a little boring. I'm also really not too big of a fan of the pre with the yelling. You know, it's now or never. To me, it threw me off right out the gate. The chorus is catchy and sing-songy, though, and the solo fills in between the chorus and verse number 2, super cool. Really, for me, George steals the show on this one. That's the solo is the star of the song. That's the shining moment in this song. I love all the tones that he was getting. I'm pretty sure this is when he was messing around with the Sustainiac system. So he got a lot of really cool guitar tones. And then the ending with the harmony leads and the outro noodling. So great. Overall, I don't dislike this song. I still think it's a good song. It's just not, it doesn't compare at all to the first two, you know?
Yeah, out of the first 3 songs, this would be the third rank for me, but I actually, love the riff, love the vocal harmonies, love the guitar fills. I think there's this sinister feel to like that pre-chorus. I love the verse melody. There's something about the mix again, where a lot of the times you hear these albums from this era, and when the singer disappears and the guitar player's doing fills, they're not loud enough. And for whatever reason, the guitar tone on this album pierces through when Don isn't singing. And I think that's why we fall in love with the guitar fills, very much like Randy does on the Ozzy album, right? Because it's the same kind of feel. It's like they're turned up loud enough. The guitar solo, part melodic, part Bumblebee. I kind of like that. Where I do not like this song. And it only really happens once in this album. And I got a feeling they noticed it happened and they never wanted to do it again. Is that Night by Night? Notice they didn't do it twice, right? Because after they did it the first time, it's like, oh yeah, we're not going to do that again. The rest of the song's great. That one part, I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? That is really bad. Like, just cut that part out and just make the first verse a little bit smaller, right? It's just unfortunate.
That's Sonny, you nailed it. That when you first listen to this song, you're like, oh, okay, what's going on? Then you're like, wait a minute. They left that in? Why is that part of the song? It's like somebody jumped into the studio and went, night by night. Like, no, get that out. As Bruce Kulick would say, edit that out.
Out.
But even Tony, you even said some of the other stuff. It's like, it's now or never. Get out of the way. All right. Wild Mick Brown. Relax. Get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. Get out of the way now. It's night by night. Don't be back for the attack. But I will say, and I sent this into our text group, that fucking chorus was burned in my brain for weeks. I could not stop singing night by night, like the regular chorus, not that shitty background stuff. The actual chorus when Don comes in, it's just that it's like Sonny, you say it's like an earworm, and to me that's what saves the song. But there are some things about this that I don't like, but that chorus is enough for me to continue listening to the song.
Night by Night by Jeff Pilson, George Lynch, Mick Brown, and Don Dokken. All 4 members on this track. Sometimes I think we overanalyze this shit.
Oh, of course we do. That's why they take 4 hours.
The end, I like, because there's 13 songs on there. In the end, I say to myself, is it a good song? It's a good song. I like it. Yeah. I won't skip it. I like it. There's catchy parts to it. I think the chorus is extremely catchy. George's opening crunch, that riff in the beginning, is another great one by him. There's that part where all of a sudden, the crunch is going and they start, and then that long guitar note comes in. It's the beginning part.
Have you heard the song?
Yeah, the guitar part of that beginning, which is the stuff that we were talking about. He can't pull that live. There's the crunch, and then all of a sudden that, and the guitar starts taking off afterwards and jumps in. It's again one of those things. How the hell is he going to pull that off live? Because it's an interesting part of the song. Mm-hmm. The backing vocals are great on this, and I do like, though, Sonny, that it's now or never. I do like that part. I'm not sure about Mick Brown saying it, but I do like that part. The other part to this was the lyrics. We're living it night by night. I thought it was always like, every night by night throughout. I don't know. Until I started reading the lyrics by this, I never got this fucking lyric correct. The guitar between every verse that George does is just incredible. It's always great. His solo is great. And then right into It's Now or Never. And then another nice little noodling out outro. Good song, decent. Not sure if it's on the grand scale, the first 2, but it's a good song. Let's go to song number 4.
All right, so this one, again, another cool opening riff. Not surprised at this point. I like how, again, this one does the same thing. It builds and then drops back down the first half of the verse. Then it builds back up for the second part of the verse. For me, the pre-chorus is hands down the shining moment in this song. It's super catchy. I absolutely love the pre. The chorus is fine. It's not a bad chorus by any stretch, but the pre is definitely the best part for me. And then I like the throwback to the intro at the start of the solo with the drum breaks. I thought that was a really good idea, and it catches your attention right away. And cool song.
Yeah, so Standing in the Shadows, to me, this almost feels a little bit AC/DC, right? The bass and drums really stand out. This is where I start to notice, and I already knew it, but you kind of get reminded of, Don has a few vocal things he does a lot. And one is what I'm going to call a nasal snarl. Shadows, right? Yep. Yeah, that weird, right? He does that a lot. Michael Sweet has the scream. Like, everybody's got their thing, but I think that's how he's like trying to hold a note, and I think he's holding it through his nose, and that's why it kind of sounds the way it does, which is fine. Excellent pre-chorus. There's a couple of songs on this album that also could have been a horror movie theme song. This is one of those, I think. And then that whole Tone was talking about that start-stop in the beginning of the solo. Dude, it's very Rip It Out, right? So when I heard it, I'm like, wait a second. That's just like Rip It Out.
Yep.
Right? And those earworms that start. Don hit some great vocals. And I kind of said it before. The problem is he's just not dynamic. I mean, by the time this comes, I'm into Paul Stanley, Joey Tempest, Coverdale, Sammy Hagar. Like, this is basically Don at his best. There's no doubt about that. We said that already. But it just, every once in a while, Don kind of lacks the punch a little bit. And it was back to what Zeus, I think it was Zeus that was saying it, where, like, or maybe it was Tommy, where the music is so heavy that sometimes his voice doesn't quite keep up with the crunch of the music. And that's why when Lynch Mob first came on scene, I was like, yeah, we got Oni, we're good, until, I saw him fall off stage 5 times. So, but overall, I actually really like the song.
Yeah, I love this pace. Upbeat, but not super fast. Great melody. And again, we talked about this earlier. My favorite part of this is the verses. The beginning of each verse, the cymbals are very muted. George's guitars are very, very muted. And then Wild Mick comes in, does that drum pound, and then all of a sudden the cymbals open up. George's guitar opens up. The verse gets heavy. Then you go into the chorus, and then it starts again. Very muted cymbals, very muted guitar. And then it kind of builds and it kind of punches you in the face and kind of keeps you going. And I think Don sounds great. This is a song where I think his vocals do a lot of different things, and I think they all do great things in this song. The chorus is okay. It's a catchy chorus, but this pace is something that I really love from Dokken.
Standing in the Shadows by Don Dokken, George Lynch, Jeff Pilson. It's got that nice little funky guitar picking to the open to begin the song, then right into a typical Dokken riff. This is the first time I started thinking about the lyrics. What the fuck is this song about? Is it about like picking up a hooker?
I heard it was about their manager at the time, their road manager.
Really?
It comes off as a hooker song to me, too.
It does. But
as he paid again and he felt tired, tried and hung. Whoa, what are we talking about here? Standing in the Shadows. I don't know. This is the first time, but I'm not like looking at the lyrics because they're ridiculous or stupid or silly, which is something that could be said about a lot of these lyrics during this era. But I'm just like, what is this song really about? I mean, Standing in the Shadows, you would think it's, I don't know, creepy guy or something devious, but whatever. Solo was cool. Another one of those long notes held right back into that funky little opening riff again. Dun, 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 dun. Awesome. I love that he pulled that off. Don screaming at the end with his nuts in the vice. Again, standing in the shadow. Oh my God. It's just fucking, yeah.
Yeah. Shadows.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah.
Okay, Don Dokken. George's outro once again. Let's go to track number 5.
Where would we start with this one? It starts, man. I mean, so this one starts out nice and moody. It's got a great vocal melody, nice harmonies in the pre. The chorus just keeps building up into that chorus, and it's super memorable and catchy. The breakdown on the bridge is great. The solo, again, now we're starting out with GL's little signature creepy riffage, right? I mean, totally sets the mood. It's simple, but it's moody, right? And then it just like lets loose with this barrage of notes that just shreds your face off. You know what I mean? Then he kind of calls back to the beginning of the solo before ripping into another fiery fury at the end. And it's just like, it's insanity. The outro solo calls back to the solo. I mean, George is so good at doing that without overdoing it. And again, like George was saying, Zeus was saying, he'll go from long held out notes to a bunch of like meedly stuff, but it's always tasty. It's not overplayed. And I can literally sing you any one of these solos, and even all those little guitar fills where he went a little bit cleaner. I know every single one of them, and I can, you know what I mean? I can do every single one of them throughout this entire record. And that's why he's my favorite guitar player, because he knows, I can shred the shit out of this, but what is going to fit the song? What's going to do justice to the song? What's going to take the song to the next level? He doesn't overplay. Now he has done that on other stuff, but on this record, he didn't do that. So this song right here, man, it's a fantastic song.
Yeah, Heaven Sent, love that little hi-hat guitar intro that starts, right? I'm glad it's only 20 or so seconds, because I think we all have favorite bands that make that last 2.5 minutes sometimes, and you kind of lose it in translation. Dude, when Pilson comes up with that Save Me,
oh yeah,
right? You get a feeling of, all right, Jeff is as important to this band vocally as Michael Anthony is to Van Halen, right? There is a sound that has to happen behind George's voice to mediate up and get it a little bit higher than Don can be anyway, and that totally works here. That last note that George hits in the guitar solo, dude, that weird sound he's making, right?
Yep.
Including the guy we got here, he had every kid with a guitar strapped around his neck trying to figure out how he's making these sounds, right? And that part's cool, because that's how you become a guitar god. Like, you're doing things that people are wondering, like, how do I go do that? But then you go do a guitar solo that's part Hendrix, part Jeff Beck, part Eddie Van Halen, because you don't got an 80s guy that's getting influenced by the 80s guitar gods. You got a 70s guy that was influenced a little bit before them. So he's kind of bringing that in, which I think is absolutely great. Here's where I think they missed. This should have been a hit single. It's probably not ballady enough. If they ballad this up just a little more, you got a top 10 hit.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys have said, especially that last bit right there, Sonny, about a song that should have been a massive, massive hit. This has everything you need for a hit. It's got that moodiness, it's got a pre-chorus, and then it's got just a balls out, emotionally heavy chorus that I just absolutely love. And it's one of the things I love about this band. Like, you look at the songs we've talked about so far, how many different things they're doing in all of them. But this right here, I think it's the strength of Don's vocals. Tony, you said it. I mean, we've all said it. I know Zeus is going to say it. An absolute face melting solo by George. That is just stunning, that you can't get sick of it. There's so much going on with this song that the minute it's over, you want to listen to it again. And this is one specific song. I mean, the whole album, I'm not going to say how I feel about it, but this is one song here I never, ever get tired of hearing, no matter how many times I listen to this, because there's always something that I look forward to when listening to it. Usually it's the solo, but there's just so much going on. And like you said, Sonny, that save me part. And then Don saying, don't let me go, heaven sent. And then when everybody comes together for the chorus, just great stuff.
Heaven Sent, Don Dokken, George Lynch, Jeff Pilson. It was the third single. It didn't chart.
Oh,
there's a video for it. We'll get to it.
Oh.
So for me, this is another one of those, like, if I could put it in a little club that should have been way bigger than it is, because who did it? This is like That Time of Year by Vinnie Vincent Invasion to me, the song.
Good call. Yep.
So I know you said, Sonny, you should make it more ballady, but I don't know how you would. I love it the way it is. I don't know how you would make it more ballady. It's kind of is it a ballad or is it mid-tempo? It's in between there, I feel. The song is incredible. The simple opening little melody thing. All right. Remember now, I have a guitar. The only thing I ever learned to do is kind of like this thing. Like, and I would learn that. I'm like, wait a minute. Did I just learn how to play War Machine? Or did I learn how to play this? Hold on. Wait a minute. This sounds like the beginning of Dream Warriors. I don't know. I find like those three songs have the same little beginning opening. It's funky, it's bluesy, the drums rock, the guitar, the vocals. When Don hits that part when he says "Let me know" and he grows that, it's fucking incredible. Fucking incredible. And I'm not someone that sits and goes, "Oh, Don Dokken, whoo, what a vocalist." But he does do a good job on this. It's fucking incredible. The guitar crunch. What's the part when he starts singing "Stop Me From Feeling This Way"? Heaven sent, you drive me insane. That part on the second verse, whatever he fucking guitar fills there, it's a crunch in a tone on his guitar. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but it sounds so fucking cool that it just, that's the thing. And you're right about hearing different things every time you hear the song. Then I'm like, oh, that's my favorite part. No, that's my favorite part. No, that's my favorite part. And then you get into the solo, which I don't know about you guys. I mean, maybe Tony, you played it, but I would, air guitar every single part of that fucking solo. I know it I know it inside out. There's different parts I would air guitar to it. It's whether it's finger tapping, whether he's holding that note, or whether he just goes fucking incredibly fast. And then it just eases right back into the song again, as always. It's just, then you got the guitar outro, of course. Incredible guitar. And it doesn't have to be blistering to be an incredible guitar song.
Even though he did shred balls in that solo.
Oh, yeah. But there's a difference in that. And I'm listening to it and then listening to fucking Boys Are Gonna Rock.
Right.
Wow, what's the matter with that? That's not a melodic, soulful solo.
That's a fun rocking song, and then he gets into a solo, and then everything in the kitchen sink is in it. But we'll talk about
better comparison would be what do you call it? Back on the Streets, right? And then he just goes like, "What the hell is that solo? What song does that solo belong to? Because it doesn't belong in this song."
Yeah.
And that's another thing about George, though, is he's not afraid of trying new guitar tones. So if you notice throughout the songs that we've heard so far, it's not the same guitar tone. It's not the exact same guitar tone.
Yep.
Just a death, super aggressive, crunchy. Listen to the guitar tone on this. He mellowed it out, right? Even the previous
can't tell. No offense.
Oh yeah.
I can tell. Whatever he's doing, I like it on every song. Whatever he's doing. And that little crunch, like I was saying, on "Stop Me From Feeling This Way," whatever he does, that little fill that he pulls in there, incredible. Let's get to the video.
Oh boy.
So you got Jeff Pilson playing chess by himself.
Nobody wants to play with him.
Which is to me, I thought that was pretty funny because that's very Jeff's persona.
Playing chess by himself.
Yeah,
no, just like he's very tongue in cheek about everything.
Yeah,
he's very jovial.
George is with like this woman at the bar. You have a fat lady. You have Mick answering a payphone. Yes, a payphone in a video.
Well, it was the 80s.
And then
and pretending to read the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't really read.
Well, he was a great actor, you know. And then you had Don with his stupid fucking hat.
Ooh.
It's a nice hat, especially with that leather duster there. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, pin it to his head. Why is he always holding on to the hat?
Because his head is enormous. He needs a strap. He's like fucking. What was the outfielder? What was the outfielder for the Yankees? The Asian guy that fucking every time it was a fly ball. Hideki, that's it. Every time it was a fly ball, he would run. His hat would come off his head.
He did not get a fitted hat off the rack in the pro shop because he needed a chin strap.
Yeah, every fly ball in Fenway Park, you'd see this guy with this huge head, and his hat would come off because it
always
fit. He needed a chin strap. Yeah, and then you got the band playing in a graveyard. It looks like this is New Orleans, right?
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
And then some chick walks by that I'm sure Sonny's going to describe.
Oh my God, the hair. I hadn't seen the video in a while. I'm watching and I'm like, why am I staring at her hair? And then I don't know. Watched again and I'm like, I'm still staring at her hair. Then I took a 5-minute break and then I came back. I won't tell you what I did during the 5 minutes. Then I came back and I'm like, I gotta listen to this song. You know what I mean? Dude, she's hot. The hair makes her absolutely hot. I don't know if she's the knockout looking chick of all time, but dude, that hair. Oh,
she's not hot. Sorry. She ain't hot. George Lynch is hot. George Lynch is hotter in this video than that.
Yeah.
With the silhouette during the guitar solo.
Fantastic. And speaking of George Lynch, Zeus, you brought up all the highlights of the video. You didn't talk about George Lynch's fantastic pants.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't even finish. I was just setting up. I was just setting up Sonny because I knew he was going to talk about the girl.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I mean, the chick walks by. They all look and they all start following her out. And then there's like a voodoo guy that walks out in the middle of the video. And he looks like the fucking voodoo guy from The Princess and the Frog. I don't know if you guys ever had young daughters and got to see that with your kid a million times. He's the villain in the story. But anyways, there's a voodoo guy that in the fucking middle of this. Then there's George's solo and that image.
Oh, it's awesome. Oh, amazing.
The silhouette, the pants.
Oh, yeah.
But halfway through the video.
The patchwork pants. Yeah.
Halfway through the solo, I'm like, why is the fucking camera panning on Don going like this? Where he always does this fucking like Judd Nelson fist punch from Breakfast Club. He's always doing this. He's doing it in my dreams. He's doing it in this video. Like, dude, stop. And stop putting the camera on you when there's a George solo. I fucking gets me all upset. Anyways, anything else anybody wants to add about this great video?
Yeah, you forgot the end when for some reason they show Clemenza on the friggin' street. What's up with the fat gangster guy? Like, what the hell?
I put it down here, Thomas. He looked like the wrestler. I don't know if you guys know wrestling, but he looks like the wrestler and his name Bray Wyatt. But when he was the persona of Husky Harris. That's not a very flattering name when they're like, you're going to be named Flounder. Why Flounder? Why no, it's Pinto, right?
Oh yeah, Pinto. Why not?
Why not?
There's just so much going on in this video. It's just so bizarre how these 80s videos were made. You know, I mean, it's a cool video. It's obviously of the time, but it's got some weird shit for sure.
Don with this like fucking fist punch. He needs to settle down. And what we need now, let's go to the next track. An instrumental.
So, okay, as a guitar player, I heard this and I kept waiting for the lyrics. First of all, I read the title and I'm like, Mr. Scary, how the fuck are you going to sing this? How is this going to make any kind of sense? Out the gate. So I'm waiting. I was like, holy shit, it's instrumental. So I got excited because I'd never heard just a George instrumental. That intro riff is bananas. I think pretty much every guitar player knows how to play that riff. It's the first thing I ever heard of that has like string skipping, which is probably, you don't understand what that means, but basically you're going from the top string to the sixth string and you got to skip down to the fourth string. So you're skipping over the fifth string when you're playing that riff. It's not exactly always the easiest thing to do, but practice, you get it. and I did because I played the shit out of this song. This to me is 3.5 minutes of genius wanking. Okay, that's I don't know how else I can say it. There's so many layered harmonies throughout this thing. He always goes back to those little creepy little riffs. This was the first instrumental that I'm never bored of listening to. I'm not a fan of instrumentals, but this one, yeah, I am.
So, Mr. Scary, from a guy who does not like instrumentals, if you've got a friend that's never heard George Lynch, this is probably what I hand him. This is one of the instrumentals I can listen to because I think it's an answer to some of the stuff Yngwie was probably doing, and George saying, hey, I can do stuff like that too, but it doesn't have to be as classical, neoclassical like Yngwie's doing. I think it's a perfect name to the song too, because if it was called like Tinkerbell or Lynch Opus 7 or, like Pez Dispenser like Paul Gilbert sometimes does, you kind of lose kind of what it's all about, because this could have been the movie theme song very easily with no lyrics. Now, what's interesting is Lynch said in an interview it was supposed to have vocals. But Don's voice didn't fit and couldn't sync with the music. So I can imagine Neil and George are in the control room or in the recording studio. They lay some drums down, they lay some bass down. It's like, all right, that's the piece. Well, have you handed this to Don yet? Oh, well, you can hand it to Don, see if you can write something. You can't write something. It's on the album. I don't really give a shit. Right? I can imagine that happening here. I'm glad it's on here because after Heaven Sent, you do need a kick in the head, and there is not another Kiss of Death, right? So you have to do something, and this was the good something for me.
Yeah, I love instrumentals. That opening riff is the most ballsy crunch of a guitar you're going to hear. Tony, you said that he's using different tones in this. That opening crunch, you can feel how aggressive that is. That distortion is just insane. And there's so many different things going on in this. It's not repetitive. It comes around and has different segments. It's broken up. If I'm going to nitpick anything, it might be a little bit too long for an instrumental. I like instrumentals, but it does get a little bit, self-indulgent, but that's okay. That's what an instrumental does in the 80s for a guitarist like George Lynch. I love it. I mean, it's if you love this kind of guitar playing in this type of tone, you just love hearing it. And I'm glad it's an instrumental. I don't want to hear anything covering this up. So I like it.
Mr. Scary, written by George Lynch and Jeff Pilson. Cool, nice little build up. The drums are great on this too. Very underrated. It's always a song that I thought, why don't we all take the challenge and see if we could write lyrics to it and see who can come up with them.
We should do it live stream. The four of us write lyrics.
Nope.
Yeah,
on the fly
and sing it.
Mr. Scary.
Like I said, the title is Mr. Scary. How is this going to not be stupid if there's lyrics?
So you don't have to say Mr. Scary in the song at all. There's plenty of songs out there that don't have the title in the song.
That's true.
Yeah, but those are Iron Maiden songs, and that never makes sense.
Or Zeppelin, they do the same thing.
Them.
Yeah,
or grunge. But
them.
But Mr. Scary is the name of his guitar,
right?
Which I don't think we've mentioned.
Oh, so scary! Oh,
no, but it makes the appearance in the Heaven Sent video. It's that skeleton guitar, not that fucking ridiculous big-headed skeleton that CeCe DeVille put in afterwards. Not that awful looking.
So
thing.
Dumb.
Yeah, this is George's famous ESP guitar, right? So that's the name of this. It's fun. It's a good, solo. What I like about it are a couple things. Even for an instrumental, it's reserved. Like you can tell there's a song there. It's not just him going for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not eruption.
And it goes back to the main theme. And then all of a sudden it comes back to the main theme. It's doing something there. And it's not just him ripping on it, but then he'll go off and do a little solo and he'll come back. I like it. It's not just shredding for shred, sake. The other part to this is I honestly believe that he put this on here because by this point, he's got a reputation.
Mhm.
And, like I said, solo of the year, In My Dreams, he's got a reputation. They don't have the looks. Don isn't the most charismatic frontman. One of the selling points is George Lynch. Why not let him put a solo on there? So, he might not have other things, but they do have this as a selling point, and good for them for putting this on. So I believe on the cassette in the album, this was the closing track for side one.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Let's go to the opening track on side two.
Okay, so this one, the intro riff to me sounds like it could be on Under Lock and Key. I love the reverse effect on the vocals in the verse when it comes in. I know that's one of Sonny's like earworm type stuff. Super cool idea on that one. The chorus is really catchy. The solo is melodic. It's a nice song. I don't think that this one should have been a single, but it's a good song. But it's just not, for me, it's not a like a standout track, as you guys always say, I see Tommy's reaction.
Yeah. He's in the wow phase. So many tears. Yeah. We're on the second side. This is almost, kind of starts off the softer side of Dokken, right? That this is what it is. After the pace of Mr. Scary and you're on the CD, this is a bit subdued. There's no doubt about that. Whether that's a reverse vocal on that I or you, right?
Yeah,
whether it's a volume swell, whatever it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a total earworm to me. I love it every time.
Mm-hmm.
But that piece, when the part that I have screamed over 100 times in the car is Standing in the Rain. When Jeff comes in, standing in the rain, right? I have screamed that 100 times in the car. And that I turn it up during that part just in case I'm out of key and I can't hear myself, right? So there is something about this song that is probably not as crunchy as a lot of the other songs, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Awesome solo, but this is where I'm telling you, George is doing a lot of doubling here. And he did this in Under Lock and Key where he's doing a part of a solo, that fades out, and another part of the solo comes in and that fades out. And live, he's got to jump on that from one to the other. He's trying to transition, but he can't pull all this stuff off. There's no way to do it live. It all sounds good. I'm not saying it sounds bad live. You just can't do it that much, if that makes sense. And I got to tell you, he is a bit restrained here. See what I did there? You like that?
So
you like
clever.
That? Yeah, I like that.
All right. So again, I love the tempo of this. It is a little bit more restrained. There's not a lot of heavy riffage, not a lot of heavy stuff going on from George. But that being said, there's 13 songs on the album. I don't mind having things a little different here, but the one thing I will say about this song that carries it for me, that fucking chorus is burned in my brain. Maybe my favorite chorus on the entire album. I can't get it out of my head. I love it. It carries the song for me. It's a different type of Dokken song, which I like because they do a lot of different things on this album. I mean, you've had Kiss of Death, you've had Prisoner, you've had Heaven Sent, you have this, a lot of different things. A huge fan of this song. The chorus is just fantastic for me.
So Many Tears, written by Don Dokken, George Lynch, Jeff Pilson. It's the fourth single. It didn't chart. I'll tell you a nice little story about this. Hit Parader or Circus. I don't know which one of them did it. Or maybe Metal Edge. I remember at this time, they would ask other artists to review a track played by a different band. And Anthrax got this song.
Oh, God. Yep.
Oh, boy.
I remember this.
And this is when I was like, fuck thrash metal assholes. They fucking destroyed this. They're like, this is a fucking joke. And this is the part that maybe you can answer for me, Tony. One of the things that they made the comments, I don't know if it was Charlie or Scott Ian, I don't know who said it, but it was like, Jesus Christ, do you guys know any other chords? It's the same fucking chord every fucking time. This is pathetic. Now, what is he talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, that's what they made a point about.
He's pretty much saying that a lot of these songs have that same chord pattern where it's just played at a different speed or a different tempo. It's the same thing.
Isn't that the same fucking thing by all? It wasn't the pattern. it was like the same chord.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
Does he hate AC/DC?
But
Exactly.
but I don't know.
Right.
But
Does he
that's what
hate
was being
Kiss?
said. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, isn't thrash metal the same fucking thing where they're playing
Same
the same
shit.
chord over
Same
and
shit.
over?
Just faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like reading my magazine. I'm like, I feel like the first time I'm one of those like cancel culture outrage fucking people on the internet. How dare you? I'm reading these magazines. They're all fluff pieces. Who's this band shitting on one of my bands? What the fuck is this? I've never saw that before. Because all artists were always like Bon Jovi saying, oh, we're on tour with Motley, you know, this and that. Everybody was kissing ass. And then I fucking heard Anthrax shitting on Dokken. I was like, what the fuck is that asshole? Next thing you know, you got Metallica shitting on other people. And there's when my hate started in for all those bands.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the riff is very similar, though it is, but I like it. It works. The solo's great. And this is just another good song. It just, how can I explain this? It reminds me of kind of like when we did, for me, Bon Jovi's debut. I like all the songs. There's nothing I won't skip. A lot of them, but Bon Jovi's debut never had any of the greats like this album does. But everything on there, I can listen to all the way through. So even an album of just, you know, So Many Tears, Night by Night, anything like that we haven't praised as much, I'm still like, that's a good album. It may not have that great track, but this is a good song. I'm not like in love with this song, but it's a good song. And I feel like this is the same theme throughout this whole album on every track. The last thing I'll leave you with is another great George outro, as he always does.
I feel like I got to say something here.
Go ahead.
So, and whoever wants to send the hate mail, send it. I'm sure the Anthrax guys are nice. There's not a one single solitary fucking Anthrax song that would be better than any song on this record. So
100%. And I'm with you on Zeus. Like, dude, you said exactly what I was feeling back then. I did not like thrash because of the attitude that they had towards other genres. I think that's really what turned me off more than anything. That and the fact that most of their singers sucked. Okay.
Yeah.
There's that. But, you know, when you compare it to what we're listening to, right, with these guys with these big vocals and melodies and harmonies, but the attitude that they had towards other genres of music is just really off-putting. Like Scott Ian is infamous for shitting on, you know, hair bands.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, why, dude? Why do you have to tear down other people? Just fucking, like, I don't know, maybe write a better song. I don't know.
I'm not. I'm not going to defend Scott Ian, but a lot of those guys did that to kind of uphold that image of like,
exactly,
we're badasses. We think we're thrash. We're heavy. We talk about this. We don't talk about chicks and fucking and love, and we talk about this stuff. And we're badasses. And look at these fucking idiots playing these 3-chord harmonies, talking about love and all this stuff. We don't do that. But you know, whatever. I like Anthrax. I mean, I'm not going to vocally. They're not good. I think Joey Belladonna can't sing at all. I think the popularity of that band is pretty much the music, because Charlie and Scott are great. But but that being said, shitting on a genre of music is a bad look.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I like Anthrax, okay, and I do actually like thrash now, because I've given it a chance. I'm like, oh, okay, some of this is listenable, some of it's completely unlistenable, but I'm not going to shit on any of them. You know what I mean? Right. Hopefully it didn't sound like I was shitting on them just a minute ago, but you know, it's unnecessary.
That was Sonny.
It's just,
he's pointing himself.
And I'll do it again. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
One of the things I do want to say, and I don't want to get this into a whole fucking hair metal, grunge, and all that argument. I don't remember grunge shitting on hair metal.
Never.
I don't remember Kurt Cobain laughing at fucking Poison. I don't remember Pearl Jam shitting on Stryper. Like, that didn't happen. It was the fucking thrash guys that made them seem like a joke. And then the other guys had an image of, we're stripped down, we're not posers, we're not this and that. And so everyone just gravitated to that because they just made them like, oh, those are the fucking nerds in high school. Oh, you don't like that shit. That sucks. And then Beavis and Butthead came on and then just fucking pile on. And then a whole new genre came in. But you're right. That whole fucking shit about shitting on your peers, even like we've seen all those like VH1 clips and stuff where even Stephen Pierce is like, hey, what are you talking about, Metallica? I thought we're all buddies. No, fuck you. Like, what the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's as a Metallica fan, that's Lars.
That's James too.
No,
I've seen him. I've heard
really.
him say shit.
Yeah, not Lars is the douche in that band. He is.
Well, coming from a Metallica fan.
Oh, I love Metallica. Second favorite band. He's a douche.
You know what I'm really thinking about, and I'm always introspective and always trying to find out things.
And I can barely play the drums.
Music,
and I can barely play the drums.
I just, there's a lot of philosophy about different types of bands. Like, what? Dude, stop tilting your fucking head. Stop fucking phrasing everything in that way. And just whatever. Anyway, let's go to the next
shimmy
track.
You're doing while you're doing the voice that's getting me.
This is why these episodes are 5 hours long, because we lose our way and go down this fucking rant.
Dude, this is going to break the record.
Unbelievable.
All right, next track.
All right. So with this one, okay, when this first came out, it was before the record came out. Now, we had just heard Dream Warriors from the Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So I remember when this one came out, I remember being a little underwhelmed. And here's why I say that. Because it was kind of poppy, right? And kind of bouncy. And then the solo comes in like, George, what is going on right now? What? I wanted to hear George shred, right? That's not what I wanted to hear as the first single from the new record. It's just not what I wanted to hear. Now, all that said, I think it's a great song. It's a great song. It's super catchy, great pop song. And the solo fits the song. Like I said earlier, George doesn't overplay. A shreddy solo would sound like garbage on this song. You know what I mean? He played what fits. I think it's a very catchy chorus. The melodies are great. It's just a super good, catchy pop song.
Yeah, so Burning Like a Flame, like I was telling you guys, our friendship, mine and Tony's friendship, was just starting. And I remember being wowed when this first came out, right? And Tony's like, I don't know. There's better Dokken songs. I'm like, really? Because that was really, really good. So immediately he was like, I don't think so. It is the poppiest song, perfect chorus for the 80s, right? Jeff is doing the backing vocal only on certain lines in the verses. You got that hook in the chorus is unbelievable. The guitar fills are incredible. I love that the song starts right away, right? It just goes right into it, no intro. The one word I keep hearing in my head over and over and over is sincere, right? I don't know why that word gets stuck in my head. I don't know why. By the way, so that skeleton guitar is on there. This is a PSA, by the way. You can buy that Skull and Bones guitar custom made by George for $7,000. There are other styles on his website that are a little more expensive. It's georgelynch.com/Mr. Scary Guitars. $7,000, and you too can have that for your collection.
Is this and Gene Simmons fucking
for you?
Bitch?
Yeah,
oh, fan.
George has been making guitars for a while, but to back up what you were saying earlier, it's not an ESP. The original was made by J Frog. It was custom made. So,
okay, there you go.
Just
I just remember him always. What do you call it?
He's endorsed by ESP.
Yeah. I figured that's an ESP. No?
Yeah, most of his guitars are ESPs, but that original one was made by somebody named J Frog, and it's actually on the headstock. But yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Just want to keep it correct because I know you'll get a bunch of freaking
curmudgeons sending us stupid shit. Yeah,
we'll get it. We're gonna get it anyways. It doesn't matter.
Oh, for sure.
All right. So, Burning Like a Flame. So this song, popular for a reason. It was released to be a hit. It was released to be poppy and popular. Kind of got people that weren't Dokken fans to pay attention to the band. I kind of look at this as like their version of like Def Leppard's Photograph, like just made for MTV, made for the radio, hooky, catchy, layered, chorus, sing-along chorus. It was popular for a reason. It's a great song. Some people criticize it for not being like very Dokken-like because it's not super heavy. It's not super crunchy with the solo. But I love it. It does its job. It's a hooky, catchy pop metal song, and I still like it to this day.
Burning Like a Flame, written by the four members, George Lynch, Jeff Pilson, Don Dokken, Mick Brown. It went to number 72 on the Billboard's 100, 20 as on mainstream rock. It was their second single. Yeah, I remember when it came out and hearing it. This, I can't think of another poppier song, obvious attempt to become where other bands were popular on the radio. It's very poppy for Dokken. It sounds a little bit like Just Got Lucky, a little. Mm-hmm. It's just not as heavy. And it's the word, Sonny, you're thinking about is, I'm not sincere. Right? That's the word that he made into 3 syllables. I'm not sincere. I don't know. It was fucking brutal. The backing vocals are great. The solo is okay. Nothing special. It's a good, catchy pop song. It's just not a great Dokken song for me.
Yeah.
Let's get to the video. They're in a fire station. George has Mr. Scary. There's bad graphics, special effects going on. They're on a fire truck singing. Whose fucking idea was this video?
Why? Here's the thing. Why are you on a fire truck in a fire station with a fireman's jacket on with a fucking sailor hat?
Right? It was the asylum hat that Paul let him borrow.
Yeah, I don't get it. Because the other guys have like fireman helmets. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, this whole thing is weird. Then the animated effect, the fucking guitar comes to life, the skeleton, the chick with the fucking. I mean, what do you do? I mean, I get it. It's
the crowd's reaction when the guitar comes to life. Ooh, and
oh my god! And that thing, why does it look like that? That skeleton thing is the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen. It starts out looking like the guitar, and then it morphed into some weird square-headed, goofy thing. What?
Even the band was laughing at it in the video.
Of course they were.
Yeah. People were fucking laughing.
But we also need to talk about Don's Carlton dance in the middle of the video.
Oh, that's like a combination.
He breaks into some version of the Carlton, and I'm like, dude, that's a least metal moment right there, dude.
Dude, that's like the way I call it is that's a combination of the Carlton and the Molly Ringwald from Breakfast Club.
Bro,
you mash those two together. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. There's a fire in my neighborhood. Don Dokken is going to come down and save you.
No, dude, Wild Mick Brown will save you.
Yeah. Let it burn.
Don Dokken is already out of breath by the time he gets off to the fire truck.
Well, 2021 Don Dokken is. He ain't sliding down that pole.
he ain't getting up anywhere. No. But I wondered if I was looking in the background to see if I'd see any of the Hotter Than Hell guys over there on that fucking fire truck. I think Steve Wright fucking is like, all right, dude, fucking Don can't come with us. Come on. Hey, let's be blunt. He can't fucking, he's got to go.
And did you read anything into, they're kind of very separated in the video, right? Even in the maze, kind of. So now that we know the story afterwards, it's like, do they not even want to be next to each other?
Yeah, it's interesting too. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like each other.
And wait, why a maze?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. But I'm glad there was a redheaded chick, though. She was hot. I like the redheaded chick.
She's not hot.
Dude,
her hair is
fucking
her hair was
with
hot.
Boobs, you'd say that word.
Her hair is her hair is red to distract
boobs.
you.
That's why Bridget Fonda's out. What?
Her hair is red to distract you from the fact that she's not good looking.
That hair.
That hair. All right, let's get Lost Behind the Wall next.
All right, so Lost Behind the Wall. Obviously, a song about Germany. I love the intro where it starts with the drums and then the bass and then he adds the vocals. And then when the guitars come in, that tone is just so growly and crunchy. I freaking love it. And it breathes, you know what I mean? They didn't overdo the music on this they let it breathe and just to me it's moody. It's really cool. I love how the guitar echoes the choruses and the verses. I like how it gets mellow and moody and then just gets all just super crunchy in that solo. It's just to me it's killer. I probably a lot of folks don't really like this song too much, but man, I like it. I think it's cool.
So Lost Behind the Wall, again, serious, right? So now we're back to like this serious Dokken. I love that call answer thing too, right? So Don saying something and then George kind of answers it in the verse, right? So I'm a sucker for that call answer thing. Bass is prominent in the song. I think overall it's well written because even the helicopter thing in the middle totally works for me. The guitar solo feels a little tooth and nail. So I don't know if it's ripped a little bit from himself. I'm not too sure about that. And then I've always wondered what Die Mauer muss weg means. And I guess it means the wall has to go. I actually put it in Google Translate today.
Yeah.
And it's German for the wall has to go.
I got the wall must go. Something like that. Yeah.
It's, serious song, but it's well written to me. It's a good song for this album. There's better, but I'd never skip this.
Yeah, I love the intro, the moody intro. Tony, you said it. I had that written down. When that riff comes in and rips into the song, it's just that crunch, and then George just has that chugging kind of thing. I think it's another good performance by Don. I think vocally, I think he does a great job. I love how the bridge goes into the chorus, kind of like a little bit of a gang chorus. Lyrically, whatever. I mean, I don't listen to Dokken for the lyrics. It's fine. It's fine. But I think this is kind of an underrated. I mean, this whole album. I shouldn't say this whole album. A lot of this album, pretty much in my opinion, from this song on, is kind of where you get into some real deep cuts if you're not a diehard Dokken fan. And I think this is one of those hidden gems on this album. I think it's a standout in terms of a deep cut for me.
Lost Behind the Wall, written by all four members, George Lynch, Mick Brown, Don Dokken, Jeff Pilson. Love the grooves, love the drums, and then in comes the bluesy little guitar. I wrote the lyrics. Sonny already mentioned it. The solo is cool. I like the little helicopter thing going on in the background. I like the slow build, then the solo. Boom. It's a great little thing. This is a song that's grown on me over the years. Somewhere probably like, yeah, I know that song. But now it really sticks out. I think it's the call and answer shit is really fucking tight. And I'm a fan of the song. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, so this one here, I like the way it starts with the mellowness of it. To me, this one sounds like Don't Lie to Me version 2.0 from Under Lock and Key. Very much that way, but I actually really like that song too. I like the harmonies in the verses and George throwing in the little fills in the verses. I think the chorus is really good. To me, I really see, like you're saying, underrated deep cuts, Tom. I agree. Like this is a great song. I personally, you may disagree with this, I personally think this should have been the single instead of So Many Tears.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so you got that Stop Fighting Love, you got that acoustic start, and then George is basically like, fuck that, right? His crunchy riff time, so it's going to last about 17 seconds, I think. All the pace changes to this song, so I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, maybe what Kernan's saying is right. So I went back, I'm researching, and I found this interview, and somebody asked him, how bad did the fights get between the two? Have you any funny or interesting stories about Don and George? And Neil says, let's just say that there were some very funny and sometimes alarming moments during the BFTA recording. I simply had to ask Don not to be around while we did the rhythm tracks because George simply get up and leave, halting all progress for the day if Don would come into the studio. Most of the time he didn't show up, but when he did, sure enough, there goes Mr. Lynch, right? And then the guy goes, did you get involved in any of these fights in any stage? And Neil goes, I tried not to, but it was unavoidable at times. I had to try to keep everybody happy, and considering those two usually wanted the opposite thing, that got tricky. I think that finds itself in this song because of all the pace changes. I got a feeling that maybe Don wants it a little more ballad and George wants it a little more crunch, and you end up somewhere in the middle. And this is where, instead of it taking 3 or 4 months, this is why Neil's saying it took forever, because there's a rewrite, a write, a rewrite, a write. I can imagine George comes in, goes, no, we're doing this. Don comes in and said, you got to soften that up. Otherwise, that's not going to hit the radio, and we're not going to release this as a single. That kind of shit is too bad, because overall, it is a good song.
Yeah, Stop Fighting Love it's a very good song. I like, it's another song we talked about it earlier. It's another song that has those verses that start off kind of a little bit more dramatic, emotional, and kind of mellow. And then, Wild Mick does a little thing with his drums to kind of let you know that something's about to change with George and his crunch coming in. I like that. I kind of like that transition. I think it adds a little something to the song. It keeps it from being from being boring. Another very catchy, melodic, hooky, emotional chorus. Another song that kind of feeds to Don's strengths. I think he pulls off these kind of dramatic, emotional type of songs very, very well. I think his tone carries that well. And I think this is another underrated tune on this album.
Stop Fighting Love, written by the 4 members, Jeff Pilson, George Lynch, Don Dokken, Mick Brown. Then I start noticing that when I read the songwriters, who they are, they're listed differently on every track. So I don't know if they're giving somebody more of a credit for the songwriting on this, but it's not very common to see Don's name up front. So just to say something there about the songwriting and stuff. I also had stuff about the slow build to the crunch. Sounds a little like So Many Tears. I find them to be a little bit repetitive. Nice solo, pretty melodic. George, another outro, another one of those. I think it's a good song. I'm not, flipping over backwards over this. I think it's a good song. Not much to it. Pretty good. Let's go to the next one.
All right. So for this one, I love the way it starts with an intro solo. Love it. Love it. I like the tempo of this song. I think it's a good, a little bit more aggressive than the previous song, Stop Fighting Love. Right. I like the, oh man, I can't remember what part it is right now because I didn't write it in my notes. But the soloing that George is doing is killer on this song. I think the chorus is catchy. It's just one of those songs like we're saying. It's just at the end, it's a deep cut, but man, it's a great tune, I think.
Yeah, Cry the Gypsy. I was going to say the same thing. There's this guitar wiggle thing that it's the whammy bar thingy. I don't know how to explain it, but Lynch is doing it. It comes up a couple of times in his solo, which is just, it's unique. For me, when you hear this song in the album sequence, it's like, didn't they already do this song once already? Like at this point, 13 songs is probably a little too much. Now, it's not a skipper for me. Don't get me there. But even the little hey they do before the second chorus, it's kind of like they could have made that huge, and then they make that huge, right? So it's interesting because of what Zeus just said. I was going to tell you this thing. So somebody asked Don, how do you write your best songs? Don's answer, look, I've gone months without writing anything. I'll sit down in my studio while I'm home, pick up my guitar, I'll play, nothing happens, nothing comes to me, I'm just playing. And that's why I hate it when record companies say you got 6 weeks to write a new record. It doesn't work that way. Especially since in Docken, it wasn't like another band thing where everybody was writing songs. It was mostly me. George, Jeff, and Mick weren't really writing or contributing much. They just weren't. They said they were, but that's their story.
Wow. Settle down, Don.
Dude, your name isn't on. George Lynch's name is on every song.
Mm-hmm.
Every song.
Mm-hmm. And there's even proof in that home video where George and Jeff are in the hotel room and you hear some of these tracks in the background. Clearly, Don didn't write that. So get over yourself, dude.
I wonder if they had 13 songs for this album. They couldn't agree what to cut.
Maybe.
Yeah. Cry of the Gypsy. It's interesting because this is the part of the album where I don't skip the song. I enjoy the song. But Sonny, you said it the best. It's like, I think I heard this already. Like, I think that's one of the things about this album that a lot of people who maybe don't like Dokken or don't like this album are going to say that, like, oh, a lot of this sounds the same. The second half of the album sounds the same. Well, it doesn't, but I understand what you mean when you say that it might. You get into the territory of, it's kind of like what we were talking about with Anthrax shitting on him about the same chords. It's like, you kind of did this song already, maybe a little bit differently, but we've heard this a little bit. Like, the chorus is similar. The bridge, the riff into the chorus is similar. I like the song. I'm not going to bash the song, even though it sounds like I am. I like it. Don sounds great. George sounds great. It's got a cool solo. But it's a song that, we talk about this when we talk about Hot in the Shade with Kiss. Like, does it need to be here? Well, yeah, because I like the album and I like Dokken. But I could see other people being like, yeah, Cry the Gypsy probably could have been cut. But, I like it. I like the chorus. I think it's a cool song. It's Dokken back for the attack. I'm not skipping anything on this album.
Cry of the Gypsy, Don Dokken, Jeff Pilson, George Lynch. 4 tracks on this album. Don Dokken is not credited.
Mm-hmm.
4. Well, one of them, should say 3 because one's the instrumental. But that comment is nonsense. Anyways, I always felt, and I'm going to disagree with, I think you guys on this one. I think this is a standout track. I always felt this was George's way of coming back from In My Dreams. Like, when I first heard this, the guitar on this was one of those things that I'm like, dude, he's doing something. I'm not a guitar player, but I can tell the guitar on this is insane. I felt like this was his In My Dreams. And I can't even say this title without doing a Borat thing.
What is this?
You put gas in it, propane?
If I had a gypsy in a van and I open the gas, will it finish him?
Probably.
Yes?
Yeah.
How many gypsies could I finish with one canister?
However many you had in the van.
Well, let's say I wanted to finish lives of 20 gypsy. Would this be enough?
Maybe the bigger one.
The bigger one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What is the cry of the gypsy?
Gypsy. Gypsy.
And next, beat the gypsy.
Don't fear me, gypsy. All I want is your tears. He goes around to the lady doing the yard sale.
Do not fear me, gypsy. All I want from you is your tears. Please give them to me or I will take them.
Yep.
And he's asking her if the Barbie doll.
Who is this lady you have shrunk? Was she the owner of this house that you camp in front of?
There's a couple more child's dolls.
Do not try shrink me, gypsy. I'm serious. These are your spells?
Is this the owner of the house you shrink? I just want your tears, gypsy. And then just, the cry of the gypsy. Maybe Borat has something there.
Maybe
right?
he knows something. Yep.
I'm going to, what's his name? Sacha Baron Cohen was like,
yeah,
I'm going to do a thing about a guy that has this thing with gypsies. How about the tears of a gypsy? How about the cry of a gypsy? There's something. I like Dokken. The guitar on this is just nuts. The solo is fast, melodic, and then right back into the chorus like he always does. The outro is great. I just love the guitar on this. I just think it, and the chorus is pretty good. And I like the, yeah, and right back to that song. Yep. I think it's a lot of fun. Song's fun. Let's go to the next track.
Sleepless Night. So this one here, man, Sonny can probably attest to this. That intro riff, man, I played the shit out of that. Oh my God. I mean, I think anytime I pick up a guitar, I play that riff. It's such a cool riff. And Don sounds great on the track too. The first melodies are great. The chorus is super catchy. This has a very rat-like groove to it, right? Very kind of like Lay It Downish, which love that song. I love all the little filler riffs that George does in this song. The solo is banana pants. It's freaking nuts. This song, this one is a standout track, not Cry of the Gypsy. This one's a standout track for me. Love. Heart emoji.
Yeah, Sleepless Night. I mean, it's written for top 40, right? The bridge, the chorus. It didn't get released as a single for whatever reason, but it is written for that. It was interesting. So Don was on Chris Jericho's podcast about a year ago, and he says to Chris, I guess Metallica and Dokken had the same manager, and he begged the manager to have Metallica go on after them on the Monsters of Rock because they were going on after Metallica. So Metallica would finish Kill 'Em All, and then they have to come and do Just Got Lucky. And he's like, look, we're already burned from being on tour. We got to go do all this thing. We're not getting along, and now I got to play after Metallica. That's probably what did us in, right? So it's interesting because, I mean, they obviously were writing songs ready to be arena headliners. There's no doubt about that. And this, if you could have had, if these guys are getting along, this could be your fourth or fifth single, no doubt.
Yeah, Sleepless Nights. Tony, you hinted at it because I have written down here, this is like sleazy Dokken. Very unusual for Dokken to do something like this. It's very ratish, where it's not, because a lot of these other songs, the riffs in the chords that George is playing, it's very, very structured, very controlled stuff. And then this one, it's just, I like it. It's lazy. It's like Slash or Ace or Warren. And I think that's cool. And I kind of wish there was maybe a couple more songs like this on the album where there was a little bit more of that kind of just slippery kind of riffing that he's doing. It's a cool song. I love the chorus. The one weak spot for me on this is that breakdown. Listen to the music. Don, come on, dude. What are you doing? You know, it's you just now you just sound like it's just not good. It's not cool. It's not, you just sound like you're singing like some kind of, high school musical kind of shit here. Just axe that part of the song out there. There's got to be a better way for you to go into the soul than that. But that would be my only complaint. But I think it's a cool song because it stands out because it's different.
Sleepless Night by George Lynch, Mick Brown, Jeff Pilson. So I just said the last one's a standout track. And then Tony's like, well, I think this one is. Well, I think this one is too. I still think this is a standout track. Actually, I feel this is the sleeper track of this album. Okay. No one really, I don't hear anybody say, oh yeah, Sleepless Night. That's the song. Like, I fucking love this song. That riff is incredible. The drums on this are great too. That's very underappreciated. That bridge is actually what I like. Because that bridge, it's so hard to unwind, leads George to come in with that fucking blistering solo that just overtakes Don's little bridge comments. Oh, it's fucking air guitar shit. Sleepless Nights is probably up there with Heaven Sent. So fucking awesome. So melodic. So much feel and touch. And so you guys are talking about holding notes and stuff like that. This just him is just like a masterpiece of knowing when to hit it and just how long to hold it and then go right back into something. And just if it flows, and he's got a talent to be able to do that. Like, I don't know anybody else that can do that makes me move like that. It moves me like that. The outro is fucking sick on this one too, as well. I can't say enough about the guitar on this song. That's Sleepless Nights. Let's end finally with the last track.
All right, so Dream Warriors came out well before the album came out. Obviously, like you guys talked about earlier, it's kind of like the whole single soundtrack situation, right? Where this came out on the soundtrack for Nightmare on Elm Street 3, right? Obviously, it did very well. It was a very big, successful video on MTV. So they put it on the record, which I was happy about because I did not buy the soundtrack, but I did buy the cassette single with the thing on it. Anywho, really cool, creepy, mood-setting intro. I like the way it starts with those little jangly kind of creepy guitars. And then the drums accenting as it goes, and it builds up into the crunch, right? I think Don sounds amazing on this song. I think he sounds really, really great. Starts out nice and soft and builds up into that chorus. He hit some crazy notes. On this one again, he hit some crazy ass notes on this song. I think between this one and Kiss of Death, I think he blew out his pipes because these two songs he was off the charts. And the solo again is Banana Pants. I think it was Brian May had to list like his top 10 scariest solos back in I can't remember what year it was, but he picked this one out. And wow. it's especially that last bit. It's freaking nuts, the tapping pattern. But super. I think it's a really well written song. It's clearly written for a movie soundtrack. It was perfect for it, quite frankly. Really well written, thought out, little harmony bits here and there. Super tasty, shreddy when it needs to be in the solos. Man, I like this song a lot. I got so much shit back in high school for liking this and liking Dokken because people would always just mock the chorus of this song for some reason. I don't know. I don't get it. Sorry. It's, not AC/DC, but dude, this is a good song.
So Dream Warriors. Okay. I like the song, but I want to get you guys' feeling on this. So we'll start with Zeus. Dream Warriors or Love Kills?
Oh, for me,
maybe Love Kills.
I'm starting with Zeus.
Oh, go ahead.
Love Kills.
Love Kills. Tommy, Dream Warriors or Love Kills?
Not even close. It's Love Kills.
Tony?
Dream Warriors.
Wow. I'm going with Love Kills.
Yeah.
I like this song. I really do. I think Love Kills is better, honestly.
Hey, I love that song too.
Yeah, they're both great songs.
Oh, yeah.
I think here where the difference is, Don didn't write it, and his ego's killing him right now. So in an interview, they came to me and said, can you write a song called Dream Warriors? And again, Jeff, Mick, and George go write a version, and I wrote a version by myself. Mine was more up-tempo, more of a rock song. They'd give me a rough cut of the movie so I know what the movie was about. So I wrote a version, they wrote a version. It's kind of funny. They said, they being Jeff, Mick, and George, we actually like your version better, Don, but we're going to use ours instead. So it was just ego. There was a lot of ego in my band in the 80s.
Oh, shit.
Right? Okay, it's still eating them that this is a huge hit. Because you know what? The movie soundtrack thing worked. That's why there was a bunch of rock bands that did it. And it works with the movie. Obviously, we're going to talk about the video. It works with the video. I think overall it's a really, really good song. It's not the best on this record for me, but definitely a great song.
Yeah, but when you ask the question, this or Love Kills, okay, Love Kills, great song. But when you're writing for a Freddy movie, which one fit better? This one, hands down. Love Kills makes no sense as a horror movie soundtrack, aside from the fact that they use kills in the title.
Tommy, I know your Love Kills.
Oh, that it does.
Yeah, but he's going to love him till his resurrection day.
Oh, God. So Dream Warriors, another song that really exposed the masses to Dokken. The title of the movie, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. And I think it helped that the movie was very successful in terms of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. It's regarded as, if not the best Nightmare on Elm Street, it's second best, probably behind the original one. It's an unbelievably creative and scary movie. And this video carried the movie and the band. Those three things combined, just there's a reason why this blew up the way it did. It's a good song. Lyrically, it's connected to the movie. The video, which we'll talk about, is fantastic. It's a good song. Like Sonny, you said, it's a good song. It's not the best on the album, but it's a good song and it deserves to exist and be on this album. Very successful for a variety of reasons. And I think Don sounds fantastic. A song with this type of mood suits his voice very well.
Yeah, this is written by George Lynch and Jeff Pilson, not Don Dokken. Yeah, it was released as the first single. It's Mainstream Rock 22, number 22. So the movie came out February 27th in 87, and the album comes out in November of 87. So you're right, this came out then. Now, one of the things I did is because that I really got into the Nightmare on Elm Street movies back then. So when this came out, it combined the two because I didn't really even know who Dokken was. And I fucking loved that whole Freddy thing. And I think 3 was in a zone of its own. It was a lot better because it took over after 2, which 2 was stupid.
Yep.
I think 3 really made the franchise big because I think 1 was more of like a cult. I don't think it was a box office hit. This was a box office hit, and then 4 obviously did well as well. Again, that riff I talked about, I don't know, War Machine, Heaven Sent, that little beginning part to this, it's the only thing I can do, except for the first fucking couple lines from Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. The riff is fucking great. The solo was cool. And I like that little, I don't know, it's not a bridge, but that little part after the solo, Sweet Revenge, the bitter.
That's a bridge.
Can you after the solo?
Yeah, you can put a bridge wherever you want it.
Perfect. So I don't know. I find this song to be a lot of fun. It's great. It's hard to it's like I think of the guy that had to do Ghostbusters. Hey, come up with a song site with the name Ghostbusters in it.
Yep.
Who are you going to call?
Yeah, Ray Parker.
Yeah,
that was Ray Parker Jr.
Ray Parker Jr.
Or just take
he was
Huey
wicked
Lewis.
smart.
Just take Huey Lewis's song and fucking just change the title.
There you go.
But this, what else is he going to say? With a dream. So whatever you want to say, Don, these two can write a fucking song that sounds very Dokken-ish. So wait a minute. Maybe it's not you that gives you the Dokken sound, because the last 2 songs, Sleepless Night and Dream Warriors, you really had nothing to do with it, right? And Prisoner was another standout track on this. So hold on a second. Is George Lynch more have to do with the Dokken sound, or is it Don Dokken?
You mean, did Vinnie Vincent save Kiss? Like that kind of thing?
Boy.
Not getting into that stupid shit. But you get my point. Like, to me, I think Lynch is the main guy here. And they can obviously write a song. They did a great job. I like the song, but it just reminds me of Wood. Somehow ends up on Dirt. What's the other one? The Big Empty, STP from the Crow soundtrack. The Crow, ends up on Purple. And there's a bunch more like, wait a minute. Yeah, it's a nice little way. But the last thing I'll leave you with is I had the cassette single of this. And that's why I was telling you guys, like, wait a minute. There's another track on this album. We're not going to review it because we're not going to go for 8 hours. Back for the Attack, right? The actual title track. It was on, I believe, the cassette single with Paris is Burning as a live track as the other song. And I remember having that. That's a pretty good song. I will say that. So if you have I believe the remastered version, you get Back for the Attack on that, right? But we're stopping here. We're not going further. Last thing I want to go to, who wants to go first talking about the video?
Yeah, the video is awesome. Okay, if you're a fan of the movie, the video is very cool. It incorporates clips, scenes from the movie, and then it has original footage with a young, smoking hot Patricia Arquette.
Yes.
Oh, she's
I think she was cute. I don't know about hot.
Yeah.
She's 18. She can be hot.
She was hot. She was hot because it was like sleepy pajama hot.
But she was thin too then too.
Yeah, but
her hair is
not too
And she had a shape on, she had a shape instead of I look like boy.
But see,
Bridget
Tony,
Fonda.
that's what I mean. She was awoken from her slumber because of a nightmare. She's kind of greasy and vulnerable.
Yeah, like them dirty ones. Huh?
Yes,
that's not too creepy.
Yes,
Yeah.
This is getting a little fucking dangerous.
Oh, this is getting dangerous. So
We're getting into fucking all sorts of
she's an adult. But anyways, I like how they took scenes from the movie and then kind of combined like some original footage of that of like, like the scene of her like walking down the hall, but then she turns around and she's being terrorized by Don and George coming down the hall.
Well, wait a minute. She was building a Docken house.
Don and
Remember?
But I like that. And I like how they spliced that because the movie shows her building that house, and then in the video it's like she's building a
house
Docken
with
house.
the Docken house.
Yeah,
the haunted.
exactly.
Yeah, but she had to build one of the rooms a little bigger than the others.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But the video is very cool. And then at the end of the video with the band showing up, and the best part of the video is the very end with Freddie being like, "Oh, who were those guys?" Like he was the one having the nightmare. Like it's very, very cool and creative video, which made the movie and the band that much more popular.
Yeah, Freddie says, "What a nightmare."
Yeah.
Who were those guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Don and Jeff walking down the hallway was a little sad. But I think the worst part of this video, Mick is trying too hard to be wild.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I did like how they threw him into the furnace. Like when she's looking in the furnace, is like, "Oh, this wild Mick Brown in my furnace."
But they put the makeup on the wrong side of his face. Like you could barely tell that he had burn makeup on the left side of his face because it was the right side that was illuminated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They screwed up on that one.
But you guys haven't brought up the most famous part
the
of
best
this video.
part, dude. The best part is George's solo.
Yeah, when he gets ripped in by Freddie at the end, right?
Oh, I mean, the way he comes
busts through the fucking wall.
It's so cool. The only thing that drove me freaking nuts is your girlfriend, Patricia, screaming the entire time. Can you shut the hell up and let me hear what George is doing?
Why do you have to be so rude to Patricia Arquette? What's the matter with you?
Why was she rude? She should respect George and his master.
She did, because when George broke through the wall and he cracked, she started looking at him like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" And then she smiled like, "Oh, like he's playing a dangerous. He's looking ugly." First time Mr. Scary ever pops up. I've never seen him before that. Mr. Scary's playing that, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, look at the little kitty." And then, and fucking Freddie grabs him, and she's like, "Ooh."
Yeah. How about the quote here from Don when in an interview they were asking him about the video, and he's like, "Oh, it was fun." He's like, "I think Patricia Arquette was 18. I think she was 18, 19. Yeah. He said it was her first movie. She was just a little girl, but she already had these huge breasts."
Oh, Jesus.
And it was cold on the sound stage. I had to tell the director, "You have to put Band-Aids over her nipples because they keep poking through her t-shirt."
Dude.
Oh, my God.
That's fucking perverted.
Why is it perverted? She was 18.
Fucking old bastard. Oh. But anyway, the other thing is, Don shouldn't talk.
Why?
Because
With
Don
nipples,
in this
with
video
nipples pointed through the shirt?
Because his salami tits were all over this fucking video popping out. But more importantly, he looked like Ozzy from Ultimate Sin video.
Oh, his hair was fantastic.
Yeah, he looked like fucking like glam Ozzy in this video. And he's trying to be like all like, ooh.
He did that. He did a lot of that.
Yeah, like the hand gesture. And he'd be like, "Ooh, I'm sassy."
You know what he reminded me of? You know what he reminded me of, Zeus? He reminded me of Joe Lynn Turner in the Stone Cold video.
Yeah,
just very like,
ooh. When Joe Lynn Turner does the ooh, try to
Joe Lynn Turner goes to bed like that.
Ooh.
Joe Lynn Turner.
That's how he sleeps.
Listen,
like that.
Joe Lynn Casada is on tour right now, so he's I mix up the two constantly with the fucking same hairdo. Those the two Italians.
Oh,
except
God.
One's got big eyes, the other one's got a big honker. So I don't know. I get them all fucking mixed up. Anyway, that's the end of all the fucking tracks.
Holy Jesus Christmas.
We started this 2 days ago.
Jeez. I think the hurricane already made its way through us.
Oh, anyway, any final thoughts?
Tony, what do you got?
Man, okay, so overall, as Sonny would say, Desert Island album for me, 100%. I never skip a song off this record. Definitely my favorite Dokken record. This record here shows and really kind of cemented George as a guitar hero. I think he is all over this record, which I'm sure pissed Don off even more. But fine, whatever. Just because it's your name on the band, dude. Like, I mean, George dominates, but he didn't dominate in an what's the word I'm looking for? Overpowering way, right? It's appropriate. All the songs on this thing are very well written songs. It's kind of like you guys said, hot in the shade, right? You could cut one or two, but why? The only difference between this and Hot in the Shade is there's no bad songs on it to cut out.
Yeah.
Right? There's just a lot of them. That's all.
Yeah, so at this point, Don's 34, Mick's 31, Jeff's 28, George's 33. They are not young guys. They know what the hell they're doing. They're coming off a tooth and nail under lock and key, and they come to this album that honestly is the best of their career. This is a perfect album. It's a great 3-album run of the mid-'80s. I will even go as far as to say after this album, you put all the Dokken albums together, Lynch Mob, Souls of We, KXM, George Lynch, all the shit that he's done, Sweet Lynch, all of that shit. You couldn't put a greatest hits together out of all that stuff and it match what they did on this album. So this is really... Like, this is why it's so hard to be a super duper Dokken fan, because the overall discography doesn't match the 3 albums from 84 to 87. But this is just a perfect album. There's songs I don't skip. There's more songs I listen to than I don't listen to. But yeah, it's a great album. Great album.
Yeah, it's funny with me with this album because there's no skips. There are obviously some songs you prefer more than others. I mean, that's the nature of the music. It's funny because this is my favorite Dokken album, but this is so weird and it's so hard to reconcile as a Dokken fan. All of my favorite Dokken songs are on Under Lock and Key. But this is my favorite top to bottom Dokken album. Under Lock and Key has too many weak spots in it for it to be my favorite top to bottom Dokken album. But the songs that I always go back to are on that album. There's a couple songs on here that are on my go-to, but if I was going to make a 10-song greatest hits collection, the majority of those songs would probably come off of Under Lock and Key. But this album is no skips at all.
For me, first thing I want to say is Sonny's a fucking troll.
I was messing with you guys.
We knew that.
Oh, no, really? I agree with you guys. No skips. The other thing that Tony says, George is a guitar hero. Yeah, he is a guitar hero for other people to listen to, but he also writes good music and good songs. So it's easy to be, no offense, Joe Satriani and Stevie Vai. But I can't count the fucking amount of songs that I'm like, oh, that's a great song that he did. They might be like, oh, shit, have you ever heard this? Have you ever heard that? Yngwie, the same thing. No offense. It ain't coming close to this. These are great songs. So I look at it as like Vinnie Vincent, the twofold. You can have Vinnie Vincent on Vinnie Vincent Invasion, a couple good songs and craziness, or you can have Vinnie Vincent on Lick It Up. To me, I mean, it's like, dude, you can be a great guitarist and people can find little spots where you're great in his shows, but you wrote good songs. What do you want? Gene talks about that with Vinny all the time. George on this is just, it's great songs. No skips. Love everything on it. And it's not just for guitar people. You can like this and not be a guitar person, but you can like all the riffs and just like, oh, that's a cool song. Well, that sounds good. That moves me without being like, yeah, good luck trying to fucking replicate that. That's incredible what he's doing. You don't need to know that kind of skill and still find this as a guitar album. Mm-hmm. Fucking great pick. I love that we picked this. And I love that we were like, all right, this is one I think Tony needs to be on here. Yep. Because not only because he likes this and not only because sometimes we like him when he's not an annoying curmudgeon, but the other part to this is I want his fucking knowledge of the guitar because he brings a skill set to have this conversation with him. And I've used that fucking knowledge when I've asked him on my own. And I think it'd be beneficial to listeners to hear what Tony says about this album. So I'm happy he came on here. So let's get to the main part and let's rank these fucking songs. good luck with that. Who wants to go first?
Tony, why don't you start as guest?
All right. Starting at the bottom, right? 13.
Yeah, you got it. Number 13.
Okay. So, man, like I told you guys, ranking this is insanity.
Yep.
And honestly, you guys say this often. I got like number 1 and 2 are locked.
Yep.
Number 13 is locked. Everything in the middle. I tell you, if the wind changes direction, I could change the list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
So number 13 for me is Night by Night. That one's a lock. That never changes as my least favorite song, even though it's a really good song.
13 is Cry of the Gypsy.
Ooh.
Mental.
Yeah, the lock for me at number 13, Tony, is Night by Night. And I still like it, but something's got to be last.
Yeah.
No skips. And this is the part when you start naming these songs at the lower end of this. You're like, yeah, but I really like this song.
Yeah.
You know, for me, number 13, I'm just not an instrumentalist. And I like this instrumental.
Yeah.
Mr. Scary.
All right. So here's where you guys lose your shit. Number 12, So Many Tears.
Damn. That hurts.
That's not bad.
I know.
Number 12, Sonny.
My number 12 is Night by Night.
All right. And my number 12 is Mr. Scary.
Which I'm surprised, the instrumental lover.
Yeah,
Right?
but there's too many other good songs on here.
Okay. Number 12 for me, Stop Fighting Love.
Ooh. All right. 11, Standing in the Shadows.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
We're all over the place here.
Mm-hmm.
My number 11 is So Many Tears.
Attaboy.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Actually, I might get yelled at for this. My number 11 is Dream Warriors.
See, I gasped, but I'm not as good. Dude, you have the best like audible gasp.
I do it all the time.
I know, it's so good.
Because these guys usually annoy me. They make me sad with some of their picks.
Number 11 for me, 7 Many Tears.
Attaboy. See? You're on an island.
And I like the song.
I do too. Okay, so 10, Lost Behind the Wall.
Yeah,
There it is.
Although
that is a gasp. Oh, here comes Sonny's going to ruin my day again.
My number 10 is Sleepless Night.
Oh, no.
That's it. I'm deleting your phone number from my phone. That's it.
My
33 years of friendship gone. Done. I'm over it with you. I can't.
My number 10 is Cry of the Gypsy. The Gypsy.
All right.
The next step is Beat the Gypsy. Number 10 for me, Standing in the Shadows.
Mm-hmm. Number 9, Burning Like a Flame.
This is horrible.
My number 9 is Stop Fighting Love.
That's my number 9. Stop Fighting Love.
My number 9 is Burning Like a Flame.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty close. Number 8, Stop Fighting Love.
My number 8 is Standing in the Shadows.
I got Sleepless Nights at number 8.
You guys are insane. Number 8, Night by Night.
Wow.
Number 7, Mr. Scary.
Wow.
You're a
I know,
guitar
right?
player. You're a guitar
My
player.
number
No,
7.
shame on me.
Yeah. My number 7 is Lost Behind the Wall.
My number 7 is So Many Tears.
My number 7 is Lost Behind the Wall.
Yeah, really, actually, Mr. Scary should be way higher on my list, but it is what it is. It's there, and it's today's list. So, number 6, Cry of the Gypsy.
Wow. All right. My number 6 is Dream Warriors.
6 for me, Lost Behind the Wall.
6 for me, Cry of the Gypsy.
This is really weird, Zeus. We usually don't agree on anything.
No.
Number 5, Dream Warriors.
Number 5 for me, Mr. Scary.
Wow. On an album with that many good songs, you get an instrumental that high. Wow.
Okay, Steve Wright.
Yeah, right. He picked it number 1, remember?
He fucking drafted it. Number 5 for me, Standing in the Shadows.
Number 5 for me, Dream Warriors, Tony.
What the hell, dude? Okay.
I already have mine in the computer, like typed up, so I'm not.
Mine's typed up too. That's why I said today's list. There it is. Number 4, Heaven Sent.
No.
Wow.
Tony, how
all right,
dare
so
you?
My number 4 is Prisoner.
That's my number 4. Prisoner.
That's my number 4.
Ooh.
Damn, I messed it up because that's my number 3.
Okay.
My number 3 is Burning Like a Flame. I've always loved that song.
Yeah, Sonny. That's my number 3 too. Oh my God. If me and Sonny gonna have the same top 3.
Number 3 for me, Sleepless Night. That fucking solo. Oh.
All right. Number 2 for me is Sleepless Night.
Attaboy, Tony.
That's ridiculous.
And number 2 for me, Heaven Sent.
Oh my God. Me and Sonny are gonna have the same top 3. An ARC first. Heaven Sent, number 2.
Number 2 for me, Heaven Sent.
All right, and the obvious choice.
Everybody has the same number 1.
This has never happened before.
I mean, this is like a hands down kiss of death, man. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this freaking song. I think they tried 12 more times and they couldn't do it. How do you get anything better?
Yep.
Oh, they've tried 213 more times. They can't do it.
I'm just talking about on this one record, but yeah.
Kiss of Death, 4 guys on 13 songs picked it number 1.
That just shows you how fucking unbelievably dominant the song is. It just sticks out. It's just incredible. See,
I wouldn't say that because I think there's so many other great songs. I just think this is the best.
I think this is the Heaven Sent for me had a chance, depending on my mood, of being number 1, but I couldn't deny Kiss of Death. Nothing else came close. I feel the same
way, but I think Heaven Sent is close.
It is close.
But after that, I wouldn't put Sleepless Night over those 2. No. But I do love him.
Yeah.
But what do we got, Sonny?
For the poll in our top 4, number 4, Sleepless Night. Number 3, Prisoner. Number 2, Heaven Sent. And number 1 was Kiss of Death. And they all, like, Kiss of Death added up to 4, Heaven Sent added up to 10, Prisoner added up to 15, Sleepless Night added up to 23. Like, they had good gaps.
Yeah. Wow.
Those are my top 4.
Wow. I had I'm surprised Burn Like a Flame didn't do better.
But me and Tony, we both had it.
Yeah. Nice.
It was 5th. It would have been 5th.
Okay.
I don't think this had any really crazy things in there. Like So Many Tears, Night by Night by Tony weren't in the top 2 or 3 for anybody. Same thing, Night by Night, Cry of Gypsy for Sonny, Mr. Scary, Night by Night for Tom, Stop Fighting Love, and Mr. Scary for me. So we didn't have any of those crazy things where someone's way down the bottom.
Right.
So now we're going to do album covers. We're up to 21 albums now. Holy shit. And the albums we've done is Appetite for Destruction, Slide It In, OU812, Super Unknown, Pyromania, Load, Peace of Mind, Bon Jovi, Blizzard of Oz, Jar of Flies, Winger, Single Soundtrack, Mechanical Resonance, Odyssey, Hailstorm, Detonator, Highway to Hell, Once Bitten, Look What the Cat Dragged In, Hotel California, and we just did Docken, Back for the Attack. Tony, do you want to give us your list of what you have for album covers? You can read the whole list. I think the rest of us are just going to plot ours in,
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to start at the top or the bottom?
Start with 20 and then go up to number 1.
Okay. So at the bottom, Load, Super Unknown, Winger, horrible cover. OU812, Odyssey, Bon Jovi, Highway to Hell, Jar of Flies, Singles, Hotel California, Once Bitten, Detonator, Look What the Cat Dragged In, Mechanical Resonance, Peace of Mind, Hailstorm, Blizzard of Oz, Slide It In, Pyromania, and Appetite for Destruction. And I'm throwing Back for the Attack in number 3.
Wow, number 3. Interesting. Wow.
I think that's a really great cover because there's so much you can actually do with it, merchandising wise, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They could have done so much and they really missed the opportunity. Maybe it's because it was the end, right? So I don't know.
Could be.
I thought it was cool.
Sonny, where do you put the cover for Back for the Attack?
I got Back for the Attack at number 12, in between Bon Jovi and Detonator. So it's right before Detonator and after Bon Jovi.
Okay. All right. For me, for Back for the Attack, I actually have it at number 15. I have it above the single soundtrack and just under Soundgarden's Super Unknown. I think that Super Unknown cover is real creepy for me. It's a good one. I like the Back for the Attack album cover, but that's where I have it. I have it at 15 out of the 21.
All right. I think I have it probably on the ARC group, the highest, but lower than Tony. I have Back for the Attack number 10.
Okay.
Below Once Bitten, because that chick is hot. But above Mechanical Resonance, because of those albums with those kind of symbol things like this, I think this is is a better photo, a better image than Mechanical Resonance. So I have that number 10. So let's go.
Here comes the best
ranking. So let's go to Tony, who's never done his. So we're going to listen to Tony rank 21 albums. Start at number 21, buddy.
All right. So at the bottom, probably no surprise, Load, Super Unknown, Oh You Wait 1 2, Peace of Mind, Look What the Cat Dragged In, Jar of Flies, Singles, Hotel California, Once Bitten, Highway to Hell, Detonator, Odyssey, Bon Jovi, Blizzard of Oz, Slide It In, Appetite for Consumption, Mechanical Resonance, Hailstorm, Winger, and Pyromania.
You do not have Winger as the second best album on here, do you?
Oh, the fuck I do. Yes, I do.
It's a good album. But where's Back for the Attack landing?
Number 1.
Oh, I knew it. Wow. Yes.
I think I'm very predictable. Sonny could have called that one like last week. Yeah.
Nice.
Number 1.
Oh, see, this is even better having you on. Your number 1 album. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Sonny, drop it on us.
Yeah. So for me, this is right above Pyromania, but right below Once Bitten. I got it number 6.
Okay. I say the same thing every week, so bear with me. This gets more and more difficult to do because it all depends on your mood and how you feel. So I look at this list and I want to put the album so much higher, but I can't. It's still high for me. Right now it's going in at number 7. It's going below Appetite for Destruction and right above Once Bitten.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. For me, Back for the Attack, I'm going to go higher than anybody on the ARC group.
Uh-oh.
It's going at number 5.
Okay.
All right.
So below Appetite and above Highway to Hell. The one thing about this that I must say, there's nothing on this album that I skipped that I don't think is a good song.
Correct.
Even like, I think everything else that I have above here is everything I would listen to. The only exception is Blizzard of Oz and D, but D is so short. It's a nice little thing. It's not bad to hear.
It doesn't
you don't
count
even
really.
need, you don't even need to skip it. It's so short.
Yep.
But everything else, I like every song. There's nothing bad on them. Even Mechanical Resonance kind of, it's the same thing. Highway to Hell, same thing. But then other ones you have like great, certain songs are just so well loved that even though he has a dud or two here and there, you got to put the album higher. But this was a fucking awesome, fun album to do.
Oh, hell yeah.
Good night. Thank you. So this is what we go to next. Tony, what makes you rock hard?
For me, right now, it's summer, so Big Brother is something that I'm big into. I've never missed a season. Yeah, so into Big Brother. Like I watch live whenever I can, and I'm texting with my buddy as we're going. Yeah, so that's really what it is for me. I don't know if I need to really go into detail about what
we know what it is.
No, we know what it is. No, it's cool.
Yeah.
Sonny, what about you?
You fucking bastard.
What about you?
I saw this movie called The Old Guard. It's a Netflix movie that came out in 2020. It's based on a comic book with the same name. It's kind of a superhero type film. And basically what it is, it's a bunch of actors you've never heard of except for one, which I'll save her for a second. It's a team of like immortal mercenaries. So they have like this regenerative healing ability. So they can like get shot. They don't ever age. And they can get mowed down by like a bunch of bullets. And then they just kind of get up and then they mow everybody else down kind of thing. And then, of course, the trick to the thing is one of them starting to lose their powers. And there's this pharmaceutical guy, CEO, that wants to figure out what is it in the DNA so he can sell this DNA and make all these superheroes, right? So like I said, bunch of people you never heard of. But in 2020, dude, Charlize Theron looks fucking amazing in this film.
Yeah.
Netflix. I'm telling you, it's worth the watch. The Old Guard.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one too. I did watch that. That's pretty good.
It's good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So I was inspired by a recent episode by our friend Chris Jericho, where he had Mike Portnoy on, and they ranked all the Quentin Tarantino movies. And I absolutely love Quentin Tarantino movie. I thought I had seen all of his movies, and I was shocked to realize that I somehow forgot one. So I went and watched it, and that was Death Proof with Kurt Russell. Zeus is shaking his head. The reason why I loved this movie, a couple reasons. A, I'm a horror movie thriller fan. B, it is the simplest, dumbest plot of all of his movies, which is why Tarantino is on record as saying he thinks it's the worst movie he's ever made. But I couldn't help but be entertained by it. The first half of the movie is like a slasher stalker horror movie with great gore. Then the second half of the movie is like another thriller movie, like that movie, like The Duel, like which one of the most insane car chases you've ever seen. And when the movie ends, you're like, what the fuck? That's it? That's the movie? But I was like, this is so cool. And the whole movie, all of it, the first half of the movie, it's him stalking a flock of smoking hot chicks. Then the movie fast forwards 14 months. It's him stalking another group of smoking hot chicks. But the movie is so dumb. There's really like no plot. Kurt Russell plays stuntman Mike. He drives a car that's death proof, but it's only death proof if you're sitting in the driver's seat. It's not death proof if you're sitting anywhere else. Rose McGowan's in it. Sidney Poitier's daughter is in it, who's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. Rosario Dawson's in it. It's a really cool, dumb Tarantino movie, but I could not help but be entertained by it. It's pretty cool, and I love everything Tarantino does. It's definitely not up there with his greats, but I just couldn't help but be entertained by it.
I don't love everything that Tarantino does, and I don't remember what movie this is, but I'm sure you'll tell me. So everything's going great. My friend Jason tells me to watch this movie. Selma Hayek's out there dancing on the bar. I'm like, I'm really enjoying this movie. And then vampires came out of nowhere.
Tarantino's in that.
Awesome movie.
Tarantino's in that,
but he wrote it. He didn't direct it.
Correct. Yep. That's what George Clooney. It's the vampire movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Movie.
As soon as vampires came, I'm like, what the hell is
Dusk
this?
Till Dawn. Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this?
I thought George Clooney was one of the fucking coolest actors ever in that fucking movie. I thought he was such a great character. Yep. Those, what are those, Deco brothers, or whatever the fuck they call them, Gecko brothers? Yeah, it was fucking awesome. I just like that one son at the end when the vampires come up and he's like, trying to defend himself. It's like, come on.
What do you got, Zeus?
All right. So for me, I'm going to pick, I don't know if any of us have kids. I assume some of us do. So a couple summers ago, we watched a movie, me and my daughter. It was a Netflix series. It was called The Outer Banks.
Oh, like, hell yeah.
So it's about little teenagers going on this like kind of like a mystery adventure, like what's that movie with Nicolas Cage? National
Treasure.
Yep. Yeah.
Like that's a great movie.
Yeah. It's about kids. I watched this with my daughter 2 years ago. There's some scenes about kids drinking and stuff like that a little, and they swear here and there. But season 2 just came out. So we're at the final. We're going to watch the last episode tonight. We were going to watch the last episode, but it's now 11 o'clock.
Not tonight.
Yeah. And it's a fun little TV show. Okay. It's safe. I enjoy it because I got to watch it with my kid. And this is now we're at the point where we're watching things together. So I got that kick out of it. It's a fun little easy series about kids on a treasure hunt and adventure and stuff. Yeah, some of the stuff's predictable. Some of the stuff is just TV shows that you're like, dude, why are you acting like this? Like, and they get into, shit like you would see in your favorite shows that you get annoyed. Like, this wouldn't happen. Like, stop doing this. It's just for the plot that you do this. Nobody would act this way. And they like panic in the car. Then they crash. Now they have no car to get where they need to. You just get all upset about it. But it was fun. It worked. It's called The Outer Banks. It's on Netflix. Season 2 just started. I'm at the last episode. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know if there's going to be a season 3, but there's season 2 just came out, and it's fun if you want to watch it with your teenager.
Well, if you want to watch it with your teenager, or what my wife and I did, we watched the entire season 2 in one weekend because the show was friggin' awesome. And wait, I won't give you a spoiler. The finale is pretty fucking awesome.
Oh,
the show,
cool.
the show's great. It's a really fun show.
Yeah, we're on the last one.
Yeah.
I all those actors. They seem like you've seen them everywhere.
Yep.
Somewhere. I know this guy. I know that guy. I've seen this guy. So it's interesting. Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, before we leave, we always like to tell people where they can find us. Tony, do you do anything?
Where can people find you, Tony?
I kind of do stuff. My band Restrayned is out there, restrained.com, spelled with a Y. You can also find us on YouTube. And
now I got to edit that in Twitter. Now. Thanks, Tony.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we're all out there. New record came out last year called God of War. You can get it at, any digital at restrained.com. And that's pretty much where you find me.
You got something else coming out, don't you? A new album?
We're working on it. I got 2 more solos to drop in, and then we're done with it. So
nice.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome. Sonny, where can people find you when you're not spending 6 hours with us talking about Docken?
If you just go one out of every 10 podcasts, you'll find Sonny.
Yeah, that's true. Because, I'm liked. Anyway, growinguprock.com is probably the easiest place. I'm on Twitter and Facebook. Podcast Rock City. We're on YouTube. Now you got to do it again. And we're live on Facebook every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So I'm easy to find.
Yeah, and we are Shout It Out Loudcast. If this is your first time hearing us, we are an all-Kiss podcast. We drop new episodes every Saturday, and we do these album review crew episodes once a month with myself, Zeus, and Sonny. The last few episodes, we've had guests on, so we were happy to have Tony talk about his favorite album and his favorite guitarist here with Docken. And you can find us on all the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And our email is shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. So reach out to us. Tell us what you think of Docken, what you think about this album. And again, if you're a Kiss fan, check out our Kiss episodes that drop every week on Saturdays.
Aren't you guys on YouTube?
Yeah, but I save that for Zeus so that he can drop that clip in again.
Yeah. So for us, we always ask everybody to DM us at Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. You can always go on iTunes and give us one of those 5-star reviews, and go on to YouTube. And subscribe to us there and make your comments there. We enjoy getting those lately, and we appreciate everybody. And don't forget, you can always pick up Shout Out Loudcast merchandise and album review crew t-shirts. They're on Click T Shop with our buddy Ed. Album review crew t-shirts. You get the SIOL t-shirts there. Don't forget, we are part of the Pantheon podcast network with a lot of our friends. We got Martin Popoff. We got our idiot friend Baco. We've got the great Carmine Apiece. A lot of great options for you there. And don't forget our Patreon account. We appreciate your support there. It's been a great help. And Patreon people, we really appreciate them. Don't forget, email shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. Shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. Feel free to write us a short email so that we don't have these episodes go for another 4 hours like this one. Before we leave, we like to leave you guys with some famous last words. Over to our buddy Tony. What do you got for us, buddy?
I lie awake and dread the lonely nights. I'm not alone. I wonder if these heavy eyes can face the unknown. When I close my eyes, I realize to come my way, standing in the night alone forever.
Ooh, I'm so scared. How am I going to go to sleep? Actually, I know how I can go to sleep.
Easy.
Fucking end this video. Come on, Sonny.
Wow. Okay. You turn my passion, most of my soul, but I will come back, baby, stronger than before. Take my feelings, leave me in pain.
Oh, God.
I will forget you one of these days.
Stop thinking that it's all the name. You keep trading your love for pain. Someday her answer will come. Because there ain't no way to escape. Baby, I'm a prisoner. Chained by love.
You forgot the whoa, whoa.
Exactly.
No, I didn't. Why don't you give it to me then? Zeus, bring us home.
Can't go on any longer, please. You used to say, I'm not sincere. I'm going to prove that you're wrong. I'm never going to leave your arms. Thanks, Gene. Sonny, Tony, Tom, fucking Loudcasters, Kiss Army, everybody listening for 8 hours. Much appreciated. We love you. Anybody else want to say something?
615. No, great hang as always. Guys, thank you. Tone, thanks for joining us. Great album review.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for having me on, especially for this one. Obviously, as you can obviously tell, I ranked it number one. It's one of my favorite records of all time, and George is my favorite guitar player of all time. And you're kind of some of my favorite people too. So that kind of works out as a fun day, even though it took like 8 hours to get this thing done. Yeah, kind of. That's all you get, fool. Kind of.
Great time. Saturday night, talking Docken with you guys. It was a blast. I don't give a fuck how long this episode was. I could still keep going, and I hope you guys enjoy this as much as we did recording it. So, Tony, thanks for being a guest on this. Sonny, as always. Zeus, as always. This is great. Tons of fun. Thank you, guys. And thank you, listeners. Hope you guys enjoy this. I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this album and Docken in general.
Zoom call, 7:00. End of actually taping this episode, 11:16. Peace out, Girl Scout.